Hey guys,
Okay.
what's going on? Sean with Third Railify, and welcome to the inaugural broadcast where I have no idea what I'm doing. I am joined by my good friend Dan with the weirdest goddamn YouTube name, Necro Van 7th Division. It's weird, but it's awesome. And we are going to discuss Elijah Shafer, but mostly Sydney Watson v. The Blaze. Apparently, there's like a $1.5 million lawsuit that just sort of popped up in the news among all the other drama, and we're gonna discuss it. Um, so yeah, this whole live stream thing is God. I'm still stuck in like making a video mode.
No editing here, so all your
I
mistakes will be there forever.
I am way too ADHD to do this a lot. You guys are gonna see how I really talk. And you're like, wow, you kind of talk like this a lot. That's just how I do it. I'm almost. It's like I should be the captain of the Enterprise. That's how I talk. So okay, let's. I guess we'll start with the sort of beginning of the saga. I guess we'll do that. All right, let's see if we can do and kapow.
All
That's my
right, there
Harry
it
Potter
is.
magic. It's still working. Okay, so way back in the day, we had the You Are Here podcast, and that was a really good podcast, or so I thought. I mean, I liked it. That music, the fucking graphics, the
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 guess.
the guests were great. Who was that? Who was that producer guy? I forget his name. But he had all the tracksuits.
Producer.
Yeah, the tracksuit guy. What was his name?
I
I
don't
forget his name.
remember tracksuits. I remember the iconic bringing on Alex Jones, and I remember the various other people who I had no idea who they were until they were on. And of course, everybody's favorite when they brought in Nick Fuentes.
I didn't even know who he was at the time. Apparently, he was like this guy. I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? Why is he important? Why does Sydney hate him so much? Well, unbeknownst to me, I would soon get an education with Kanye West. That was that
Oh,
that was something. But who's they though? Oh, I think we know who they is. Um, yeah. So yeah, I guess in hindsight to sort of seeing everything that's happened, going through the episodes of You Are Here, it, some of the weirdness, it kind of makes sense now, right? And I guess we'll go through this. So Glenn Beck fired Elijah Schaefer after a sexual assault accusation, and I'm I'm obviously not a journalist. I'm just a retarded Canadian in his workshop. Um, but I did try to do a journalism. Um, I actually tried contacting the Houston police or Austin police, and
to get the
yeah,
actual documents.
to get the actual police report. So I don't know which police service it got reported to. It got reported to one of them,
I
and
believe it was Austin because I remember looking into it. Houston will display their reports, whereas Austin, you have to actually put in a request to receive the reports. So they don't openly display to the public, but you can go and retrieve them because they're public. They just don't have them readily available for everyone to just read online.
Mhm. Yeah. So
And I
I
did
did. Oh, go ahead.
go on. Oh, I was gonna say I did just now connect to Dollar. Kind of funny, because in this specific article, in the title itself, Greg fired podcaster Elijah Shafer for the accusation. And then if you when we get over to the part about Sydney Watson's lawsuit, there's a lot referring to how he also had accusations, but he had not been fired when they were made.
Oh, okay. That is interesting. So I guess let's um go through this just a touch, just a wee bit to refresh our memories. It has been a little while since I have sort of dug into this story a little bit. So Schaefer's firing. Um, is is that the actual Fair and Balanced just sent us a oh, Farad. If I was in America, oh my goodness, you would be in trouble. And that's on internet forever. Uh,
Oh,
um, so yeah. um, so Schaefer's firing came after a weeks-long investigation into an allegation that he had groped a colleague's breast, which now we know is Sarah. And yeah, he from what I remember was drunk, I guess, and thought, hey, you know what? We're at a movie premiere. This is
which
my colleague.
wasn't he a producer or something movie that was made?
Oh, I don't I have no idea.
He
I don't
had a
know if
hand in making the film.
well, he had a hand on a lot of things. But yeah, he thought, hey, you know what? We're at a movie premiere. This is a big deal. I have to be on my best. But yeah, Farron, he was a little handsy, and yeah, he's like, hey, this is a big deal. So I'm going to do the one thing I shouldn't do and drink a lot, and then do the one thing I extra shouldn't do. And my very professional coworker, who is from all I can tell is actually quite lovely. I'm gonna put my hands on her breasts. It's like, what in the fuck in the actual fuck are you thinking about, man? Like, I don't I don't
Well,
I don't I don't.
everyone knows a good, solid Christian man who was very caring of his marriage is a little handsy with other women who have not given him permission.
Well, I guess, and this is this is sort of I don't know, becoming a I don't know, this weird trend that I've noticed it, and other people have noticed it, and it's like conservative ink, right? Um, it seems to be a huge lie, whether it be the Daily Wire, or whether it be Candace Owens, or whether it be, I don't know, a chick with blue hair. Um, or Elijah Shafer. It seems like conservative ink, where you're like, oh, I'm a conservative. I am a trad man, or I am a a whatever conservative company. You start to like dig a little bit, and it's this veneer. And then you pull away the veneer and you're like, oh, I see. You're entirely comprised. You're made up brick by brick of horseshit. It's all fake. It's all a lie. Like, what is conservative ink? Like really, basically, it's like you pull off the fucking mask. Like, you got Scooby Doo beside you. You pull off the mask, and you're like, oh, you're You're all grifters. You're all goddamn liars, and the only one in the conservative space, it's people who are just sort of lumped in the conservative space, and they're usually like sort of independents or conservative leaning or whatever, or maybe they're disenfranchised liberals. But everyone else, it just seems like they're just grifters. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with being a grifter. I want to be a grifter. I want some of those Nick Rekieta dollars where he says, "Go out, get those dollars." I mean, I have 4 autistic kids. That I need to get them some autism furniture, and you got a grift to do that. I mean, especially if you're a stay-at-home dad. So, yeah, just conservative Inc. So it's just a fucking lie. It's just an absolute lie. So I don't know. I think I guess getting back to the point, Elijah Shafer was like the for me at least was like the start of realizing that. It was like that was the thing that sort of like started to pull the wool off of my eyes that was pulled down, right? Um and now I can um well, thank you the
2 whole
14 of you that
viewers.
are here.
Oh, there's
Um
14 viewers?
I know that's exactly 14 more than I thought I would. I love you all, especially Farron.
Oh,
One day when
not to
I grow up, I want to be Farron. I mean, I won't be as pretty, but I want to be Farron. Um
not to bring down that count a little bit, but I might count as one of those because I wanted to be able to see the chat.
You son of a bitch. Um
Oh, so I do want to remark in regards to the whole kind of lifting the veil on big con, which I mean the key difference in our perspectives might be that you're Canadian and I'm American. I also have extremely right wing conservative Fox News watching family that everything they have to say I could just turn on Fox News and now I know what they're thinking. So I've kind of over the years, I mean, I've never been a conservative. I was kind of I guess ambiguous, not that I don't want to use that word. I was floating around in the not knowing what party type of thing up until getting all big on Ron Paul and everything. But getting to see firsthand, watching whether it was a politician like Candace Owens or someone who would spout out something, and the next year that becomes bad for the name pretty much. And as soon as it becomes bad for the name, then they'll change what they're saying to kind of fit the narrative. And I think that's what kind of drew a lot of attention to people like Elijah Shafer, as those were people who were turning around and saying, "Oh no, I'm not going to follow in these footsteps." Meanwhile, they have their own character that they're portraying, and so they're not being honest with their audience. So it was kind of the long con, I guess, would be a good way to put it.
well, I suppose it was this pandemic that sort of was the red pill for me. Um and unfortunately I didn't take the red pill the way a normal person takes the red pill, with a glass of water and with one's mouth. For me it was literally shoved in my ass, and it was quite jarring. I had no idea that Candace Owens had something called social autopsy. When I found that out, I was like, what in the actual fuck? How did that sort of, I don't know, get under everybody's radar? And yeah, so now she says something, and I kind of always look at it sideways. Like earlier today, she dropped her bomb about Eliza Blue, and I'm like, wow, that's really great. What you said was amazing. Those words were wonderful. Except social autopsy, in my mind, undermines everything you said. Despite everything you say, it was great. it will never have the, I don't know, the weight behind it. But I don't know. That's just my opinion. Also, hi Grifty, you little green ball of fur. I follow you on Twitter. Um, yeah, and everyone else. I really appreciate all of you guys. Hopefully, I can maybe do this once in a while. So let's get back to Elijah Shafer because I want to get into the actual complaint. Um,
All
so
righty.
Shafer at a premiere got a little drunk, felt up Sarah Gonzalez, and again, I love Sarah Gonzalez. She what she does in the face of Antifa, I think um is it's great. It's great. So then the thread is okay, good. It's on the screen. Good. So then the thread gets pulled, and then we have this this little thing, which really starts taking a beating at the trad con facade. And I don't like to bring up people's dirty laundry if they have an affair. I mean, that's God, that's their sort of business. I don't want to. It's dirty business, right? Dirty laundry. I hate the fact that it gets brought up. It should sort of, in my mind, be behind closed doors. But you know that trad con. A man of Jesus Christ. The woman needs to be in the kitchen. Um, all of that stuff, right? And it's kind of, I don't know, the exact opposite of, I don't know. It's just the fucking opposite. And you're like, whoa, of anything you should be doing, you would think adultery isn't that one of those sins that are so bad? Isn't that written somewhere in the stone? I don't know.
It's
So
definitely one they like to tout out about.
yeah, or I mean, or so I thought, right? So we have Christian Walker warned a conservative pundit not to trifle with him after blaming the son of Herschel Walker for his father's failed Senate campaign. Um, I was following this as it happened, and I couldn't believe it. Um, really thankful for Herschel Walker's son for helping Democrats secure another seat in the Senate. Nobody is better at electing Democrats than Republicans. I mean, I think that's a reasonable point, right? Um, Republicans have their own circular firing squads the way Democrats do, but because Democrats are literally crazy, um, they they could literally eat babies in the street and they'll still elect their own because they are collectivists. Where Republicans or conservatives, or whatever the umbrella is, um, we something like that can actually sway us, right? Because I don't know, we use our goddamn brains. Yeah, really spectacular job
Yeah,
this time around. All the criticism from our own base, lack of support from Mitch, 10 out of 10 every time, blah blah blah. Um, where is Herschel Walker? Yes, Christian noted that, and he held nothing back as he promised to go public with Schaefer's alleged sexual transgressions if he toys with him any further. I I recommend you not come for me, or I'll have to tell your wife how you had sex with my friend at the Turning Point event in 2021 while you were married to her. I don't like cheaters. I was like, oh my god, oh my goodness.
it doesn't really seem surprising to me, just because, again, if you go through, well, now you can't go through the videos, but if you were to have you were here, anytime there's a female guest on, he would have to completely turn the conversation around to remark about how attractive someone is, and just make that the main point of the video,
Yeah,
especially in
exactly.
regards. And with as many times as Sarah Gonzalez was on You Are Here, I mean, that that was just a whole list of evidence that kind of points toward that seems pretty plausible that he might get a little handsy with her.
Well, I mean, I think plausible. I think is it feels like it's out the window. I think plausible has given way to yes. I think it happened. So Christian Walker then goes on. This loser was fired from his job for sexual assault, and then also had banged my friend 4 times in one night at a conservative conference while he was married, and she didn't know. Get your family life together before you speak on mine, adulterer. So, I mean, that's pretty damaging. Um, Thanks, Grifty. I love you, you little green ball of fur. Maybe sometime hop on with me. Um, so I mean, this is pretty damaging. However, everyone seemed to be like, "Whoa, 4 times in one night? 4 times? Yeah, sure, you're probably going to hell or something because adultery. But 4 times in one night? My goodness." I don't know. I think they got the wrong message from it. It was almost like I don't know, like a weird boost or whatever. But
It's kind of odd how at a convention or whatever exactly that was, how they would manage to get the space and time away from everybody else that would have been there to actually get that dealt with.
yeah. Okay, so now I guess that we have had a little foreplay. And now we're all warmed up. Actually, I'm actually fucking freezing. It is. You know how cold it is in Canada? It is goddamn freezing. I'm like shivering down here. Goddamn igloos are not well insulated. Elijah Shafer, sexism and hostile behavior toward Sydney Watson cited in sexual harassment suit filed against the Blaze. So, from my math, it's the 10th today, right? It's the 10th. Now for me, it's technically barely the 11th. So this is today's stuff.
This is still the 10th for me.
Um, Dead name. He got drunk at a premiere and he felt up Sarah Gonzalez. Police report was filed. Yada yada yada. He probably should have kept his hands to himself. So now we are going to get into the lawsuits. We are going to read the Red State article on it, and then I will be going through with Dan in the actual complaint. Though read the 17 pages Nick Rekieta style. I can't wait for him to make the same kind of video. All right, so in a federal lawsuit Wednesday in Texas, Sydney Watson, former host of the Blazes You Are Here, alleges that co-host Eliza Shafer created such a toxic environment by his constant sexism and hostile, unprofessional behavior towards her that she experienced debilitating vertigo and emotional distress, and that management at the Blaze ignored her complaints for months before wrongfully terminating her. What do you think about that?
Well, I do have to say it's quite wordy, but one thing that I can remember off of You Are Here is before she quit, any of the times that she would not be on the show and someone would be in her place because she was having essentially a sick day, it was generally, whether it was through the chat or the Telegram group, generally it was filled with kind of mockery of her, with some people, doing the typical hope you get better thing. So I could see that perhaps she was actually getting into a mental state from dealing with Elijah so much that she would choose to take some time off to be able to handle herself.
You know, the thing that always messed me up about the show was I was always under the impression that they were friends And apparently now I guess I understand it was all fake. It was a shtick. But what they had built was, oh yeah, they are friends, really best friends, the best of best friends, always at each other's house, always just doing things together, messaging, all of this stuff, just best of friends. And Elijah's wife, her name is escaping me. Kez, is it Kez? Um,
Yeah, Kez.
was also friends, and um they were just like this threesome of friends, and also neighbors, and they would just be at each other's houses, and they were doing all of this stuff, and I'm like, oh, that's great. And now you have um yeah, it is Kezia. Thanks. And I'd like having a chat here to help me. This is actually great. Live streaming is wonderful. Yeah, so I would always watch the show with the understanding that, hey, these guys, they're best friends. But then I don't know, there was something, I don't know, off in the periphery a little bit. Um, Something wasn't quite right about the relationship. It wasn't so warm, and it wasn't so friendly, and I just couldn't figure it out because I was under the belief that, hey, these guys are friends. Like, Elijah brought her a goddamn coffee. That's probably a lie. She probably got her own coffee. It was just the weirdest thing. And then to find out that, that they weren't even friends at all, that they were just kind of stuck together. I just
Um,
it makes me even wonder if Kez and Sydney were friends. Like, I just don't know.
if I recall correctly, the plot line to their character development story that they had designed up was that Sydney and Kez were longtime friends, and so that's what introduced Sydney to Elijah. And I think that they went off that because both Kez and Sydney are Australian. And so they figured, oh, two Australians, no one's going to know any better.
Apparently, there's the no way Sean's in here. That Oh my God, Sean, I love you. Uh, um, when but like not in a gay way. Um, why are you gay? Um, I just lost my point. I'm like, I have Farron, and I had Grifty, and I have Sean in here. I'm just like, oh my God, my first live stream. Jesus Christ. And what was I saying?
We were talking about the fraudulent pretend ship that was going on, the character
Oh, right,
development
about
that you are here.
Australia. Yeah, so you're probably right. They're like, "Oh yeah, this bird's Australian, and she's Australian." And they only like, so what I've been told about Australia is, one, it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. It's pretend. And two, it's for a place that doesn't exist. It did somehow lose a war to birds twice.
Well, only
There
in a
there wasn't
fantasy fake world could you lose a war to birds.
no,
Pointless
it's
birds.
not just the one great emu war. There was a second, and they lost them both. That's the greatest thing about Australia. Um,
Maybe that's why they handed over their firearms. They figured if we can't hit birds with them, we might as well give them
what
up.
then? What's the point of having them in the first place? Then if you can't shoot the birds. But yeah. Okay. So Watson was an up and coming YouTube personality when she signed a $1.25 million multi-year contract with the Blaze in 2021. I mean, I haven't read this entire article. I just skimmed a little bit, and let me tell you, my head fucking exploded when I was like, Sydney, Dr. Sydney Watson was in a $1.25 million contract. Holy smokes! And this isn't like this wouldn't have been like Steven Crowder's, where it was like, here's what was it $50 million?
Measly $50 million.
Yeah, Crowder's $50 million, but then you have to use that $50 million over the 4 years and do everything with it, leaving you with peanuts. if I'm not mistaken, this was Sydney Watson getting, was it probably a 2 or 3 year contract or whatever, or maybe 4 years, 1.25 over 4 years that would go to her. I mean, it would go to her and the tax man, but I mean, that's respectable, isn't it?
Seems like
Yeah, fair
a
enough.
pretty
Fair,
nice
and I want some
contract.
Blaze money too. So she chose to sign with the Blaze because the company represented that it was an incubator of talent that helped accelerate the careers of such conservative commentary superstars as Dana Lesh. Is that how you say that? And Tommy Loren.
Which I'd have
Those.
to say, I think in regards to that, you know what kind of content Sydney Watson produced before you are here?
Um, she was a little emo girl that could sing.
Well, I think there was that too, but she spoke a lot about men's rights stuff. She was kind of in the circle of arguing with feminists who hated men and talking about the issues that men actually had, like with divorces, custody, all that other stuff. And so I'm sure with her raising a bunch of ruckus over men's rights, the Blaze probably looked at that as, oh, we put a little bit of water on this plant and it's going to grow into something big for us.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's probably exactly correct. Although for a company that can launch conservative commentary superstars, I don't know who these women are. I I don't know. Watson is represented by LA-based trial lawyer Kurt Schlichter, who has a surprisingly fun last name to say. And James Pickle, Pikl. Is that Pickle? Well, hello, Mr. Pickle. I think that's fantastic. Um, so we have here Miss Watson has suffered injuries and the derailment of her multi-million-dollar career in conservative commentary as a result of her former employer, defendant The Blaze, creating and tolerating a hostile work environment and allowing sexual harassment, retaliation, and discriminating against her on the bias of her sex and religion. I guess even though she's an atheist, that still counts as religion. The Blaze's
Not having a
conduct. Go on.
Oh, I was going to say, not having a review, I guess, is a religious view.
It technically is. Um, although it uh, although it technically is, and should be treated as such. Like you can't be picked on for it. It's like the equivalent of not collecting stamps as a hobby. Um,
Yeah, well,
Let me tell you, I am the best hobbyist at not collecting stamps. The the Blaze's conduct was continuing, pervasive, and appalling, particularly in light of the Blaze's representation to its audience of largely conservative Americans that it stood for solid traditional values. Yikes. Among the suit's allegations are that Shafer regularly drank on set, including taking shots of hard liquor immediately prior to recording, enlisted male guests who shared his sexist and misogynistic views to harass Watson on air. And normally, I love sexist and misogynistic views because often when sexist and misogynistic are used nowadays, it means exactly not those things. So
that is correct.
I I have a hard time reading sexist and misogynistic and not immediately thinking, oh yeah, this is just something some leftist is saying. I have to be like, oh, this is Sydney Watson. She's usually on the level. Um, to harass Watson on air, harassed Watson because she is an atheist, and more. You Are Here was created as an interview show focusing on politics and culture, and Shafer's antics turned into a sexually explicit show that was actively misogynistic, Watson claims. Man, some of his jokes were like, um, some of his jokes were like really really bad, and the problem with them is that they went on so long. Like he was dressed in that fucking, was that a burqa or whatever, and he had the goddamn head, and I'm like, hey, you know what? That's funny, but the half life of that joke, it fucking dropped off like immediately. Haha, that's a good laugh. Now carry on. But it just dragged right on.
It's like
Um
slam poetry. You want to laugh the first 2 seconds and then you never want to see it again.
yeah, so interesting thing here about allegations that Schaefer regularly drank on set. Um on Tim Pool's Timcast IRL tonight. Um they briefly sort of mentioned this story, and Phil Phil Labronte, is that his name? Somebody in the chat help me. God, I like having a chat to help me. Um, he had mentioned that he had been on You're Here a couple times, once as a solo guest and once with Alex Jones. And yeah, as a solo guest, um, Elijah just fucking hit the bottle. Like the moment, like he was in like studio or whatever. As soon as the show ended, he was just fucking hammering them back and was as drunk as can be. To the point where Phil was like, "Hey, listen, I'm just gonna go back to my hotel. I can't go out and drink with you because you're already absolutely fucked." And I mean, he said other than that, everything seemed nice. There wasn't any like, handsy business going on. But yeah, Elijah just
Well,
he drank. He was as drunk as can be. So I was like, "Oh,
I
maybe
can
there's some truth to this, you know?"
I can definitely say, as someone who watched all of You Are Here, more so it was kind of after they got big, before the whole Jack Murphy thing, but leading up to, they were progressively Elijah was progressively drinking more and more, and there were a lot of episodes where even in the comments, people were remarking how his drinking was kind of ruining the episode because whatever the topic was supposed to be would no longer be discussed because as soon as he got smashed, he was just saying nonsense, trying to be funny, and completely derailing everything. Even so much so that when they had Alex Jones on, it became more of a clown show than discussing even why they had Alex Jones on. So
I
there,
love
there
Alex
was
Jones.
definitely 100% he was drinking heavily on the show.
Yeah. The thing is, I mean, he already talks with a
A Metro
California
list.
lisp. Yeah, I wanted to say a word, um, but apparently I can't say that word. Maybe if I was on Rumble. But
A Catholic priest lisp. There we go.
hey, Uriel, my man, I'm glad you're in chat. Maybe if you weren't at church doing drums, you'd be in here with me. Um, Yeah, so like his little lisp, right? He was just kind of, and it's this California lisp or whatever, and then so he got drunk, and then he would slur, and it was just kind of like, yes, a British cigarette like lisp. That's exactly right, Uriel. He talks like a fig. And so you're right. He would get drunk and it would just slur, and then you couldn't hear anything, and you're like, "Whoa, there's something was going on behind the scenes," but I guess we'll never know. And so all of a sudden, here we're kind of seeing how the hot dog was made. Right. So Mr. Schaefer would consistently make disrespectful comments about the fact that Miss Watson was an atheist. This also encouraged the audience to attack her. And I remember that audience. It was just, sometimes it was brutal. Something she
Oh
must
yeah.
still put up with today, and that did not happen before Mr. Shafer made it an issue. Well, I mean, I bet some of it's a meme now, right? Some of it's probably just people being dicks, but some of it might be a meme. Much of the conduct that created the hostile work environment was of an explicitly sexual nature. Mr. Shafer would endlessly reference sex, often specifically gay sex. Oh boy. And discusses penises, among other sexual matter, often graphically, in front of the guests and Miss Watson.
Yeah, that was definitely an ongoing thing with him. He had a reoccurring joke about what was it? It was like the tiny penis gang or something like that. Um, but
Well, I
yeah,
mean,
no, that
you can be funny about that. You can make you can make a small penis joke and be self-deprecating or whatever, and still be kind of funny. But I mean, there's I don't know. There has to be a line between, hey, here's a self-deprecating small penis joke, LOL, and then gay stuff where people go, huh? If you were in an airport, would we find you in a bathroom with your legs spread in the stall, extra wide?
maybe had that convention with the 4 times. That was 4 times he was fighting his gay urges. Who knows?
Maybe he had to do 4 times to prove to everybody. I don't know, but still, 4 times in one night. I mean, god damn it. This part's probably going to be interesting because here we have in one infamous on-air incident, an incident that will live forever. As Chrissy Mayer said, the Jack Murphy beard is now the dunce cap of the internet. Watson was cussed out by Jack Murphy, and Shafer stood by while the guest verbally abused Watson, according to the complaint. And that always sort of stuck in me, right? It was just another example of, oh, here we have this conservative man who wants to be out in the world to make the money, and the wife will be at home cooking, which is great if your family is into that. Your trad family is great, whatever. But Mr. Trad Man is all of a sudden going to be like, oh, this person who apparently is not my friend, but we've put on the veneer of this is my best friend of all time, is now being attacked by somebody quite aggressively. I'm just going to be a little cuck and drink my fucking water and then choke on it as if it were someone's dick. Like I just I don't I don't know what that was, and that still sticks with me. It's like, god damn it, of all the reactions you could have had, you picked the worst one. You looked weak and stupid. But I don't know.
Well, it's
I don't know.
generally, I think he had the typical situation where he would tout out about his courage and how tough he was and how he can stand up to all these big mighty things. And it's kind of like any guy who has to boast about how courageous they are as soon as action happens. Granted, Jack Murphy probably probably was a juicer, but he looked over and saw, oh, he's more jacked than me. I'm going to sit here quietly because I don't want to be in his next webcam model site video.
69 for 69. And as the great Nick Rekieta always says, do not be in a photo with your chin and your heels at the same time. So Miss Watson found Murphy grossly misogynistic, and he shouted at Miss Watson when she read a YouTube live stream super chat question from a viewer regarding his controversial past. Miss Watson had no prior knowledge of this past when she innocently read the viewer's question. After Murphy swore at Miss Watson and stormed out of the studio, Mr. Shafer went out for dinner and drinks with Murphy to smooth it over. What a cuck. What an absolute piece of shit. Miss Watson and members of the audience were upset at Mr. Shafer's reaction and his tolerance of Murphy's abuse. Yeah. I am, to this day, I'm still dumbfounded about it. He did politely say "fuck you," to be honest. Where are we here? Yeah, Mr. Shafer told Miss Watson that he refused to control Murphy because Miss Watson was a woman, and stated that if he demanded his guest stop his abuse, Miss Watson would have looked weaker. Ironically, Miss Watson reluctantly defended Mr. Shafer later over the blowback, because it turns out Sydney has a bigger dick. Mr. Shafer later tweeted about the incident, embarrassing Miss Watson. And the thing is, like, I don't care. If you're not into defending women, then don't defend women. I mean, women can do anything a man can do, allegedly. But if your persona, if your thing is going to be, hey, you know what, maybe I'm traditional, and this person is your friend, you stick up for them. Or you don't have to get up like an alpha male, pound your chest, and be like, listen here, Jack. You can just be like, hey, whoa, okay, listen, everything's okay. You can control a situation and still be classy and respectful. But he choked on water as if it were a dick. That's what he did. And then to make the gayest cope, being like, oh, well, she's an independent woman, so I let her be independent. No, like, even if it wasn't Sydney, and it was the dude who was the co-host and was completely bowled over and didn't know what happened, you still have like a responsibility to like step up and control a situation. If it's your business partner or your friend, maybe I'm stupid. Maybe this is a bad take. Apparently, I have a lot of them. But like, I don't know, something should have been done. And it still bothers me to this day that nothing was done.
I can agree on that one. I mean, even if it was instead of a female under the limelight of attack, if you were doing a show and you had a male co-host and you had a guest on who was being a complete jackass, you would want to step up and say something, stop the issue, and get the guest out. You wouldn't just let them sit there and be beat up on.
Yeah, I mean, just to, I don't know, something to smooth it over, something to temper the awkwardness, because I mean, that was supreme awkwardness, as opposed to, for drinks and steak afterwards. It's like, well, the audience who sort of invested in these personalities, invested in the show, we sort of want to see the smoothing over happen, or the calming down happening, not just like a storm off. Because afterwards, I mean, like, nothing, I don't know, it just sort of wasn't resolved, really, just quietly in the background. So over a period of 9 months, Watson says she made both formal and informal complaints to management and even met weekly with them for part of that time. Watson says that while promises to address the situation were made, nothing was ever done. I am Jack's complete lack of surprise, I guess. Miss Watson complained of the misconduct continually from December 2021 to August 2022 to various personnel at the Blaze, including but not limited to the Blaze CEO, Tyler Carden. Mr. Carden and the Blaze did nothing to address the grievous misconduct, totally abdicating both their legal responsibilities to Miss Watson and their moral responsibilities to Miss Watson, as well as the Blaze's own loyal audience, to the point that CEO Tyler Carden, who should have protected Miss Watson's rights and the integrity of the program, asked Miss Watson to get Mr. Shafer to stop talking about dicks so much on the show. It's the longest fucking sentence ever. Holy cow. So
And
you have to get your CEO of the big fucking media company to go to your code fucking guy and be like, "Hey, listen, could you stop talking about dicks? I know you like dicks, but could you stop?" I that blows me away. All right, a couple more paragraphs here, and then we will get into the actual complaint itself. Finally, Watson told management at the Blaze that she would not participate in the show until something was done to resolve the situation. A few weeks later, after Watson was told that the show was over, management announced that the show was on hiatus. That's news to me. I thought it was just on hiatus. I didn't think they
I
had canceled it.
I do recall that because the last few terrible episodes before they stopped, I believe it was just Elijah and Kezia for maybe like 6 episodes. The last one that they did, I remember, involved aliens somehow, and then it was, oh, they'll be back soon, and that was the last you heard of it.
Yeah, it kind of I don't know, it was like we were being led on by a pretty girl or something. And then it was just like it's on hiatus. When is it coming back? When is it coming back? When was it coming back? Well, what do you mean it's canceled? Like what the fuck? And it was just sort of gone and that I don't know, that's crazy. When Watson addressed the issue on social media, Shafer replied to her tweet saying, "I just got professionally dumped by text," although Watson had been told that Shafer had already been informed. That's dirty. That's low. After the show's demise, Watson says Shafer retaliated against her on social media during appearances and by spreading false rumors in person to other conservative media personalities. Specifically, Watson claims Shafer told several people that she'd made passes at him and he turned her down, told Harrison Smith of InfoWars and Scooter Downey, an influential Fox News employee, and Scooter's wife that Miss Watson tried to get his wife to divorce him and he had to sue her to keep her quiet. This is the actual look of surprise. I didn't know any of that stuff.
That is news to me.
Who the fuck is Scooter Downey?
That's also news to me. Who named their child Scooter?
I was just gonna say, like, I name my children stupid things, but I would never name them Scooter.
You wouldn't want a child to run around with the name Scooter Downey?
Not if they were gonna ever have a scooter. I'd be like, listen, I'm sorry. I have accidentally banned scooters from your life. You can't have one. Have a skateboard instead. He he told others that Miss Watson called him and threatened to go public with information about personal indiscretions. Like fucking some broad 4 times in a night, like that kind of personal indiscretion. Like there's obviously many indiscretions. They seem to be stacking up.
And not so personal with how many people seem to be aware of them.
Uh-huh. Shafer was fired from the Blaze in September 2022 for violating company policies and standards. After an investigation regarding a personal matter, it was later revealed that the termination came at the conclusion of an investigation into an allegation that he groped coworker Sarah Gonzalez's breasts without her consent at a film premiere.
So I have a quick theory, and this kind of goes back to what I said at the beginning, but with Sydney having all her complaints, even so much as to going to the CEO and nothing gets done, and eventually she's pretty much canned from the company. But then with Sarah Gonzalez, she says something and immediately Elijah gets canned. Now, my assumption with no actual backing is just that with it. Oh, it seems I did some here. Okay, with it, Sydney was technically a nobody. She did have something before You Are Here where she was doing the men's rights type of stuff. She had her other video content, but for the conservative party, essentially, she wasn't really anybody. So having her canned when her only spotlight was the You Are Here podcast, where with Sarah Gonzalez, she had a drastically bigger independent view. And so they probably looked at it as they viewed Elijah more than they viewed Elijah as more valuable than they viewed Sydney. But then when Sarah got involved, they viewed Sarah as more valuable than Elijah. And maybe that's why it petered out that way in Who Got Canned When.
Like a weighted system.
Yes.
It was just
Who brings more money?
it was just a series of weights. The last week, maybe last week, I met Dr. Jordan Peterson. I haven't
Oh,
yet told the story yet. I got to meet Dr. Jordan Peterson. He came to my town, and I spent a metric fuck ton of money to get tickets. And so I got to meet him and had all of his little speeches and whatnot. And one of his speeches was about like weighted systems, and sort of like how you just sort of described it was kind of like sort of exactly that, right? Um, where Sydney was technically a nobody who could be a somebody, but not quite yet. Elijah was a risk, but still a somebody, and had a draw, so a heavier weight. And then, Sarah Gonzalez, who I mean has her show and has sort of her own following. I mean, she has her beauty company, so I mean, she's kind of more of a person. And I think Sarah and Sydney are genuinely friends. I mean, I could be right about that or wrong about that.
I would agree on it. I
And
would
so I guess the way those weights fell, it was just kind of like, all right, he's got to go. We can't have like fucking someone go up and start grabbing tits everywhere or whatever.
valuable
I don't know.
tits. That's the only time they care. If he's grabbing valuable tits that cost more than he makes, then they have a problem with it.
Yeah, yeah. Um, all right. So this is the actual complaints. We'll get into it. In the United States District Court of Northern District of Texas, Dallas Division. Sydney Watson, plaintiff v. Blaze Media LLC, defendant. So plaintiff Sydney Watson files his complaint against Blaze. Summary: Ms. Watson has suffered injuries and the derailment of her multi-million-dollar career in conservative commentary as a result of her former employer, the Blaze, creating and tolerating a hostile work environment and allowing sexual harassment, retaliation, and discriminating against her on the basis of her sex and religion. The Blaze's conduct was continuing, pervasive, and appalling, particularly in the light of the Blaze's representation to his audience of largely conservative Americans that it stood for solid traditional values. I mean, now they have Alex Stein on there, and I love Alex Stein, but um, I think I don't know if he stands for conservative traditional values. Um, the Blaze, founded and run by famous conservative commentator Glenn Beck, told its audience that it protected traditional values and practiced integrity, and this was a part of the reason Miss Watson trusted her career to it. but the Blaze instead opted to cater to the demands, tantrums, and misbehavior of another young rising star, a male one who, long after Miss Watson had been terminated for complaining and demanding justice, was finally fired based on allegations that he physically assaulted and manhandled at least one other female, the Blaze employee. Much of the abuse was perpetrated by this individual, Eliza Shafer, but Miss Watson's claims also implicates officers of the Blaze not interceding to the correct manifest problems that they created that occurred in front of them or that were brought directly to their attention and to which they failed to act promptly, reasonably, and as required by law. Holy smokes. Miss Watson complained of the misconduct continually from December 2021 to August 2022 to various personnel at the Blaze, including, but not limited to, the CEO, Tyler Carden. Mr. Carden and the Blaze did nothing to address the grievous misconduct, totally abdicating both their legal responsibilities to Miss Watson and their moral responsibilities to Miss Watson, as well as the Blaze's own loyal audience, to the point that Tyler Carden, who should have protected Miss Watson's rights and the integrity of the program, asked Miss Watson to get Mr. Shafer to stop talking about dicks so much on the show. The conduct set forth below was based upon Miss Watson's gender and her religious beliefs and violated both the law, the company's purported procedures and policies, as well as the principles the Blaze and Mr. Beck represented to their audience. Holy smokes. So if anyone is wondering, and Farron, I think you were wondering, I believe this lawsuit, and I guess we'll find out as we go through it. I think it's for $1.5 million. So I mean, this may be a little boring, but it's $1.5 million.
Basically, just a little more than her contract.
Yeah, I suspect the little extra would be for all of
Paying
the shit that she had to go through, right? I mean, what she got debilitating. She was under so much stress. She got debilitating vertigo. Have you ever had vertigo? It's like all spinny and shit.
Well, it could be. I mean, I don't know her mental state or mental emotional history, but if she struggles with, I guess, the ability to handle mass amounts of stress, anyone who's worked a regular 9 to 5 job knows if your job sucks and you're stressed out, it can cause you to get a little mentally screwed up when you have to go and suffer through it every day. But she was dealing with being the direct target of a co-host employee, plus the audience, plus not getting any retribution from what would be management. So I could potentially see that as something that could maybe put her in a corner where she allowed it to affect her mental well-being so much that maybe she did get vertigo.
Yeah. As my good friend Uriel points out in the chat here, she already had health issues from Gardasil as a teen, so she was already sort of I don't want to say susceptible, but she had shit going on, and she didn't need somebody being like, "Hey, I'm gonna grab tits and fucking talk about dicks every 5 seconds." So she probably didn't need some of that. Oh yeah, Jen, right? The lockdowns were hard for her because her family lives in a non-existent country that can't defeat birds.
And she also got to see the complete corruption and essential downfall of Australia. Granted, it's still here and everything, but what was going on down there, all the videos that were being leaked, it got pretty
Oh yeah,
heinous. So that
oh
could
yeah. I mean, it
definitely
was,
matter.
and I suspect that she probably felt helpless. I mean, Canada wasn't as bad as Australia, although Canada was pretty bad. And I mean, at times I felt helpless, right? So her watching, her family's in Victoria, and yeah, Victoria was really bad, and she was probably helpless, and yeah, she cried over Australia. And so, I mean, she was going through a lot of shit, and she probably just didn't need a coworker that was so toxic. So we have the parties we know, the venue we know, that's all gay. The jurisdiction, gay. Summary of facts. Plaintiff Sydney Watson, promising young voice in the conservative commentary space, with prior to this, no limits to her potential for advancement. I think that's fair.
Yeah.
After she gained prominence as a YouTuber, the Blaze saw her talent and demonstrated her worth by offering her a multi-year agreement that would pay Miss Watson significant amounts. The maximum value of the agreement is fucking nearly 1.3 million.
So, just for clarity's sake, she gets this contract, and essentially she's getting a regular paycheck, but these checks are quantities that add up to eventually that full amount at the end of the agreed upon amount.
Something
So,
like that. So they probably lumped her a certain amount a year. I mean, I don't think we know how long the contract was supposed to be, but this says most of which Miss Watson will not be paid because of the Blaze's misconduct. So it looks like the contract was just yeeted. And I guess as a result, we get this lawsuit to read. And all of you beautiful people to watch me try to read it because I don't read so good. But the pay was only one factor in Miss Watson choosing the Blaze over other opportunities. The Blaze represented itself as an incubator of talent that helped create careers of prominent superstars. Yeah, we've gone over that. Further, the Blaze represented itself as living the moral values that its talent, including Glenn Beck, preached to its audience. Yeah. I mean, of course. What's a little boob grabbing between friends? Based upon its representations, Miss Watson expected to be a part of an environment that would allow her to grow and develop, but that would also treat her and others with respect and dignity. Sadly, that did not happen. Miss Watson was to co-host a show with Eliza Shafer. Miss Watson and Mr. Shafer began production of You Are Here on September 9th, 2021. So to my mind, when it says Miss Watson was to co-host a show with Eliza Shafer, that to me says we are sticking these two young and up and coming people together. I hope it works. Please pretend to be friends. Get out there and do your thing. That's kind of what it sounded like.
that's definitely what it seemed like, which would explain why they had the weird backstory that turned out to not be true. Is they saw potential of these two and what views they showed before the show as being something that might draw a larger audience until Elijah had to start being more openly, openly Elijah.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I'm glad you're here, Dan. Couldn't do this without you.
Glad to be here.
You Are Here was an internet-based interview show centering on politics and culture that streamed on the Blaze. It was not to be a sexually explicit show, nor was it intended to be actively misogynistic. Oh, okay. I'm sure we have lots of shows out there that are. Miss Watson is informed and believed on that basis, alleges that both she and Mr. Shafer were subject to the same general employment terms, though not necessarily pay and benefits. So I guess this is her. This is how her pay was broken down. So programs of programs shall refer to the following, including each episode thereof. You know, I love all this contract stuff because we found out with like Daily Wire's contracts. Now we're gonna get a look at the Blaze contracts, and maybe one day when I'm big and famous, like Fair and Balanced, I'll be able to have a contract and I can look through it and I can remember my days of like doing this shit and be like, this contract is garbage. Yeah.
You'll know now to include the clause that says if you complain about someone talking about dicks too much, you'll be fired and can't sue. There you go. Problem solved. You got the perfect contract.
Yeah, that's right. Or I'm going to put in my contract that I can talk about dicks. So an episodic audio video series consisting of daily news and commentary with talent as co-host. So it doesn't even specifically say Eliza. So it just says with talent. So yeah, they stuck them together. That was, I guess that's confirmed. It was completely an inorganic fake thing. They just stuck together. The friendship was just a backstory, I guess. The title and format of the programs and underlying concepts related to each program are subject to company approval in its sole discretion. Each episode of the programs shall be at least 44 minutes in length, excluding commercial breaks and depending on the network clock requirements as determined by company in its sole discretion exclusively for Blaze TV subscribers and podcast listeners or as otherwise determined by company in its sole discretion. The program shall consist of at least 5 episodes per week for a minimum of 48 weeks per contract year for a minimum of 240 episodes per contract year. Each episode of the programs shall be written collectively by talent and the designated co-host, other persons such as guests, as reasonably approved by company and subject to securing applicable clearances, may appear on any episode of the programs. Companies shall have the reasonable right to approve or reject each episode and the final content included in each episode of the programs and any related materials. I mean, I guess that kind of sounds standard and boring, doesn't it?
It does. It's also kind of weird because how would they reject an episode if it was a live show?
Um, hey, yeah, that's a good point. Maybe they would do the show, and then afterwards they would go, "This show is shit. We can't have Alex Jones and doing stuff in the middle of the floor. We can't do that. This is rejected. You owe us one more show." Maybe that's how they attempt
That could
to
be
do
their
that.
snaky way of drawing out the contract without having to pay any extra.
Maybe, or maybe they say, "Hey, listen, this show is actually shit for whatever reason. Therefore, you're one short, and you get docked because you know, whatever reason." So, You Are Here is taped on set at the studios in Irving, Texas, under the direct supervision of Blaze. Um, Paragraph 1 of the general terms of the agreement between the Blaze and Miss Watson requires that the talent comply with direction and the Blaze's rules. The show was initially successful and was growing its audience as hoped. Yeah, man, I loved that show. I thought it was great. And it was on at the exact time. What time was that on? Was that like 7 or
It was like 6 p.m. or 7 or so basically even the proper evening hours to battle
yeah,
with like Timcast type of stuff.
yeah, it was on just before Timcast. Right. So basically, my evening routine consisted of having You Are Here on as I silently wept to myself in the refrigerator because I can't get my kids to eat anything. That's basically what happened. And then you would look at me and you would see this one single tear reflect off my cheek from the glow of the refrigerator light. Because my kids would be like, Dad, I want chicken nuggets. And then I'd be like, here's your chicken nuggets. And then like, fuck these chicken nuggets. I don't want chicken nuggets. What are you trying to do? Kill me? And I'm like, dude, you're 4 years old. Calm down. Just eat your chicken nuggets. And they're like, I will not eat these chicken nuggets. So that's what I was doing when You Are Here came on. Just nearly every day.
I had the beautiful luxury of a nice desk job where for anywhere between a nice 8 to a horrible 12 hours, I had to essentially go brain dead and pretend that I wasn't actually at work. And I utilized You Are Here as part of my escapism so that I could keep getting paid but not have to realize I was at work.
The producer was Brandon. Thank you, little ZZ. Little zzz. Brandon was the producer. I was trying to figure out that before. I just forgot his name. Brandon in the tracksuits. I liked him. He was good. I liked Brandon.
Oh, he always wore interesting shirts, right? Like that was part of when they would bring him on camera, they would always remark about what shirts he was wearing.
Yeah, I liked him. He was good. Apparently, he and Sydney still talk. They text. Right. So, however, Mr. Shafer's persona on the show became increasingly aggressive and soon began to veer into outright misogyny. He appeared to enjoy the intimidation factor that his physical size gave him with respect to Miss Watson. So, Mr. Trad male who respects women and wants to protect them enjoyed the fact that he was a bigger human being than her. I mean, that's a little sussy, isn't it?
I just wanted to ooga booga caveman all the women.
Mm-hmm. The choice of guests compounded Miss Watson's growing discomfort with the anti-female tone of the show and the off-air interactions with her co-host. Now, I don't think I actually picked up on the um anti-female aspect. Maybe as because I was weeping into the fridge, but I didn't pick up on that. I knew there was like a lot of weird things I didn't feel right, but I mean maybe that was one of them. And I didn't know.
I always saw it as jokes gone too far, but it was a reoccurring thing for Elijah and when he had male guests on who would join in to make the reoccurring jokes of women in the kitchen and men are better than women type of thing. But for the longest time of listening to You Are Here, just viewed it as another one of his jokes that he dragged on way too far till it wasn't funny anymore.
Speaking of men being better than women, now I'm gonna say a thing, and all the women maybe don't get upset because it's actually just a joke. So for a joke, I say now, men are better than women at everything, up to and including being a woman. And then women get really upset, and I'm like, who was the female athlete of the year? A man. Who was the woman of the year? A man. Who was the beauty fucking queen? A man. So it's just a joke. Anyways, on on December 3rd, 2021, notorious bigot Nick Fuentes appeared on You Are Here. Again, I had no idea. Like, this was like a big thing. Oh, Nick Fuentes. I'm like, who the fuck is this like mousy motherfucker just coming on? Like, I don't know who this guy is. Like, look. Oh yeah, exactly. Euro Zuby is the UK women's deadlift record holder. Yeah, so I had no idea who Fuentes was. Like, he was nobody to me. And yeah, so I was like, okay, I don't know who this guy is. So he was grossly misogynistic, and most troubling was how this appeared to be condoned by Mr. Shafer. It was at about this time the environment on the production began to become notably more hostile, not merely to Miss Watson, but to many of the women at the Blaze. And I mean, I have heard rumors that a bunch of women who run some of the behind the scenes thing, they all had like comments at them or they were treated poorly. I mean, I guess that's rumors. I haven't heard anyone be like, "Oh yes, I can verify." It's just all kind of rumors, but um, I, I don't know. Would
It's
Sydney Watson lie about that in court papers?
it's probably the same as the Hollywood situation where when you have the star and the star wants to make remarks about someone who goes and gets the coffees or someone who's not a then that person essentially has to deal with it in order to keep their job. It's like the people with who was that famous UK terrible guy who liked kids and stuff. Um, I can't remember his name. He had
Are you
the
talking about the
circle
old one?
glass. Yes, the one who like kept his mom's corpse for after she died.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Oh, that name's like right on the tip of my brain. But yeah, he. Who was just talking about
Jimmy
him?
Savile. So yeah, that Jimmy Savile
Yes,
guy.
Seville. Was it Seville? But
Savile, Seville.
yeah. So like his thing was like, oh yeah, this kid has like yeah, Farron, exactly. Oh shit, yeah, Jimmy Seville. He was like, "Oh yeah, this kid's about to die like next week. Hey, make a wish. Yeah, we're doing this thing for you. You're dead next week. I'm gonna fuck you. Who are you gonna tell? You're a dying kid." And you're like, "Whoa, dude." And then it's like, "Oh yeah, not all of them were alive." You're like, "Whoa, dude, what's the matter?" And then he's like, "Well, I mean, they're gonna die anyways." It's like, no, you don't do that. It's unbelievable, but yeah, but he was basically like entertainment royalty, so everyone just sort of went along to go along.
Yeah,
God,
everyone knew what was going on, but they didn't do anything about it because if you would have done something, you would have lost your job. And they cared more about their job than their values, obviously. But point being is that see that Hollywood-esque kind of
the
hierarchy
Weinstein.
and yeah, it seems like even with big conservative uh I guess corporations or whatever, it's going to be the same thing where they're going to be looking at who's the star and who's not, and that may be what led to this exact case that's going on with Sydney now. And that might be why those rumors that you heard, granted they're rumors, there's no evidence, so you can't say that they're real, but you can look at the situation and see that it's very possible that it could be real.
Well, yeah, there was rumors about Epstein for forever. And a lot of people fluffed them off as just rumors because there was no evidence. There was the rumors about Seville forever, but there was no evidence, so it got fluffed off. So I mean, maybe that's what this is. Just one of those things where it's rumors, but it's kind of true. So here we have on December 17th, 2021, Jack Murphy, 69 for 69, appeared on You Are Here. Miss Watson found Murphy grossly misogynistic and he shouted at Miss Watson when she read a YouTube live a live stream super chat question from a viewer. Was that Mr. Dick and Balls? Is
Yeah,
that
Mr. Dick and Balls.
yeah, we have some famous fucking super chatters, Mr. Dick and Balls and Sprouts McGoats. Um, yeah, from a viewer regarding his controversial past. Miss Watson had no prior knowledge of this past when she innocently read the viewer's question, and I gotta be honest. I had not only did I not know who Jack Murphy was, aside from I don't know him and Tim Pool fornicating every fucking was it second Wednesday or whatever the fuck that shit was, but like I had no idea who he was. It was just some fucking guy who's like, look at this beard, it's natural. You see these lines? God did that. No, he didn't. That that beard was obviously fucking just for men or whatever. You
Dyed and
comb that shit in, because that fucking width changes, and one day it's fucking like it's like black, and then it's brown. I'm like, man, pick your colors. Like, Jesus, if a woman can pick this consistently the same color fucking lipstick, you can pick the same color beard fucking dye. God damn it. Yeah, so I had no idea who he was, and then I guess one eagle-eyed fucking Mr. Dick and Balls was like, yeah, I know that guy. He you know, he let other men come in his wife. That blows me away. I can't even begin to fathom that.
I don't even think that's his worst take, because I was one of the people that learned about him from Timcast. Like, one of the comments had said he went on Timcast, and when he came on there, he was a nobody that no one had any idea about. And that regular Tuesday or Wednesday show kept happening, and the first thing that actually drew my attention to him as, holy crap, who is this piece of crap, was there was one of the live streams with Tim where he sat and defended pedophilia. Like, he argued the whole age is just a number thing, and trying to basically state what's wrong with it if both parties are consensual, type of thing. That was on one of the Tim live streams before he had ever gone on You Are Here.
Okay, so I don't know. This is going to be a weird take. It's not even a weird take. It's exactly the take that it should be. So yeah, age is just a number. It is. And if you're over that number, your number is 18. That's it's just a number, but it's 18. Like, if you go below that, there's forestry equipment designed specifically for you. I don't know. Perhaps maybe that's a bad take. Throwing people into forestry equipment, but that's just that. If we had a society from the very beginning that said 17 was the magic number, then we'd be like, oh yeah, so that's 17 is perfectly fine. But we don't. Our whole way of being is 18, right? And so I just fucking respect the number. Don't be weird about it. Yeah, and Eliza Blue is also like, oh yeah, I can just have one magical night with somebody who's under that fucking very important number.
Eliza Blue also, or I guess I should say that out loud. Blue hair also had I guess a Murphy escapade.
I'm sorry, say that again.
Eliza Blue all had an rage endeavor of sorts.
Oh man, she was Eliza Blue was a stripper. I mean, Farron in the chat, she knows everything. I hear a really wicked documentary's coming out. Yeah, so she was like a stripper, and an escort or prostitute, and a cam girl, and a video vixen. How do you become a video vixen? Straight up. How do you become a video anything when you look like that? I don't get it. Like, you're supposed to look at a video vixen and go, oh my God, I'm going to develop my rap game so I can have that. But have you seen that fucking world star hip hop video? I mean, she's running and it's like the weirdest. I'm like disgusted by it. I'm like, oh my God. And if you guys haven't seen, I have a video on it. It's probably one of the only videos left on the internet that has the majority of that world star hip hop video. I'm too small for her to fucking know that I exist. So it's going to be up for a little while. But yeah, not attractive. The short hair, disgusting. The fact that it's blue, that's a red flag.
A blue flag.
God damn it. It's like, okay, so here you are. You're walking in the forest, and you turn and you look, and there's a leaf, and on that leaf is a bright blue fucking frog. What do you do to that frog? You leave it the fuck alone because it's bright blue and nature's telling you to not touch it because it's toxic. That's literally Eliza Blue. Right. So Sydney had no knowledge of Jack Murphy being pegged and his horrible cam stuff. All right. So after Murphy swore at Miss Watson and stormed off the studio, Mr. Shafer went out for drinks with Murphy to smooth it over. Miss Watson and members of the audience were upset at Mr. Shafer's reaction and his tolerance of Murphy's abuse. Man, like, if anyone needed to go out for drinks, it should have been Sydney and Elijah to smooth it over. If she should have been like, hey, listen, I cucked. I absolutely cucked. I'm so sorry. Let me buy you a steak or a beer or something. Let me buy you a nice cup of tea or something so I can apologize for being a beta bitch. I mean, I don't know.
Now, that would have required him to actually be nice to one of his female coworkers, so obviously that wasn't going to happen.
Yes, he apparently doesn't know how to do that. Also, I think Sav says working with him isn't exactly enjoyable.
I think she actually went on a podcast, and I could be wrong, I might be misremembering, but I believe she went on a podcast or someone's live stream and had remarked that she might have also been groped by him, or at least harassed
Oh
in some
shit,
way.
I love Sav. She's a little firecracker.
I'm gonna actually look and see if I can find that right now.
Mr. Shafer told Miss Watson that he refused to control Murphy because Miss Watson was a woman. That's so stupid. And stated that if he demanded his guest to stop his abuse, Miss Watson would have looked weaker. What do you mean looked weaker? She was stunned. She was like, "Oh my god, I'm so sorry." And she was stunned like a little baby deer. Like a little string bean baby deer with her big eyes like this. She was stunned. How the only way she would have looked weaker is if she were dead. Like, you had to step up and ironically, Miss Watson reluctantly defended Mr. Shafer because he's a cuck. Later, over the blowback, Mr. Shafer later tweeted about the incident embarrassing Miss Watson. When You Are Here returned from its break in early January 2022, Mr. Shafer unilaterally booked several additional guests with particularly contemptible and sexist opinions towards women. Who were those guests? I don't remember.
Let's see.
I don't recall those guests. I remember the porn star, and I forget her name because at no point did I ever look her up for research purposes.
An unforgettable guest. I mean, her name's forgettable, but not the research.
Yeah, Rollo Tomasi was on there, but I know he's all like, "Oh, women hit the wall and shit," but was he mean? Oh yes, the porn star formerly known as Eva Lavia. Yeah, that's her name. I totally didn't look it up.
So I
Like,
know with Nick Fuentes, if I remember, that was the one where she actually had snapped back at him because of how egregious his remarks were being. She actually got pissed and snapped at him on the show. I'm pretty sure it was him. It might have been a different guest, but I'm almost certain that it was Nick Fuentes. Um, I don't. Oh, there was. I can't remember his name, but there was a reoccurring guest who was another up and coming conservative commentary type of guy, and he was extremely Catholic and was basically his ongoing joke was how he was going to become president and then become like king of the country and force everyone to be a Christian. He was kind of annoying, and I don't remember his name, but he came on a lot, and he was constantly talking down about women as basically being subservient to men. And there was even John Doyle, yeah, John Doyle.
Oh, Doyle. I mean,
So that
Doyle has I don't know, like, oh, I don't know. He makes a point or two, but I don't know. Like, I think neo-Gastonism. I think that's an interesting idea, but but that is the extent of what I've thought about that. I think the point is don't be a furry. I think that's the point of neo-Gastonism or whatever, is don't be a giant furry. All right. All right. So because everyone, because I'm a poor, and I am a poor. And this is only a StreamYard's basic or free or whatever. I don't know if it cuts me off at 2 hours, and we've already been going an hour and a half. Can you believe that? An hour and a half? Good Lord, we're slow and awesome. If it does cut off or whatever at 2 hours, I'm we're just gonna make a new one. So hopefully you guys join then. If it does cut off, we're just gonna make a new one and keep going from where we left off.
I did, just so you know, I did send you a link to that Savannah Hernandez when she talks about her issues with Elijah. It's in the StreamYard chat.
Yes, let's. All right, everyone. This is my first time fetching something out of the private chat. Let's see how.
And it
I,
is from seems to be a conservative channel who I think his commentary on it is well, the title, I mean, he says trying to Me Too Elijah Shafer. So I think he's in defense of Elijah Shafer, but he plays the clip.
wait, is this how Nick does it? Nick, how do you do this? Wait, maybe that's how he did it.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I love you, Jen. That's very nice of you. Do you guys hear that, or is that just in my headphones?
I don't hear anything.
God damn it! All right. Do. Dan, we didn't practice this beforehand. I don't know what to do.
Maybe check audio settings in StreamYard. Is there something about relaying audio from whatever you're looking at?
I don't know. I don't know. I'm failing everybody.
Farron says at the bottom there will be a share audio. So check the bottom of StreamYard. Go to the third tab.
Wait, edits, stop screen. Edit, stop. Stop mic, edit audio, edit name and headline at the bottom. Oh, I don't know. This is just embarrassing, everybody. I don't know where the thing is. Mute, stop cam, settings, present. Oh shit. If you guys saw my
Farron says go to share screen.
third tab over.
It's now officially a true live stream.
Yes, because we didn't practice, Dan. No, go to share screen.
And then third tab over when it pops up.
Oh no. Wait, where? I don't even see share screen. Wait. Let's see. Present. No. Stop screen. Leave studio. Invite settings. Farron, is mine different because I have the poor man's version? I don't know. Present. Third tab over. Wait. Present. Share screen.
So there's apparently a box in the
Oh, share system audio. Farron, I love you. Window. This one. Oh, there we go. Everyone, Fair and Balanced. If you're not subscribed to her, please go do it. And Farron, just wait for my marriage proposal. Okay. Hopefully this is gonna work now. Did you guys hear that?
I hear nothing.
Oh, now it's, how about this?
Nothing for me. You apparently may have clicked the wrong one.
Oh, this is the oh, I remember this. This is the I clicked the wrong one still. Okay. All right. Stop screen. Present. Share screen. Okay. I can Brave tab. Wait, I'm gonna do it. Wait, no, share. Wait, share tab audio.
With the Blaze executives, I went to
I
the
hear it now.
that was working over Elijah's show, and I told you what was going on.
I did it.
I went to the CEO, and I also went to.
I don't know how, but I did it.
Blaze TV. Nobody cared. Nobody wanted to do anything about it. They knew the entire time that Elijah Shafer was sexually harassing women. And you know what? Good for you, Christian, for saying what we were all afraid to say. Working for Elijah Shafer was the worst shoot of my life, to be quite honest. And I did try to go to the executives because Elijah grabbed a former friend of mine's ass. And I asked her, hey, do you want me to take these to the executives? And she said no. And I said, okay, not my business. Then I'm not going to talk about it. You know what happened after that? She went to another friend who went into Elijah that I was trying to lead to Elijah and ruin his career. Has both things lied about me multiple times. Friends, Sydney and I had a riff in our relationship for a long time because of Elijah's lies. She and I are doing so great now because she finally found out the truth. He has both these lied about so many people. He's tried to
Damn, Elijah was just grabbing everything.
destroy my career. I stayed silent about.
Okay. Ethan Ralph, what a disgusting human being. Like, I mean, he's 5'3" on his back. Like, what a awful, what awful. Okay, so there we have. I guess we have that. Well, so yeah, so she did say that he was grabbing asses and he was grabbing tits and he was grabbing everybody. So I guess that's confirmed. So that came out. I remember listening to that Twitter. What the fuck's the Twitter rooms called?
Oh, the
Spaces.
yeah.
God, it's
The one that
2:20 in the morning. I'm tired. Yeah.
you
So
listen to that.
yeah, I heard that, and being technologically retarded, I didn't know how to record it. and because it was good, and that's immediately when I was like, I'm gonna make a video about this right away, and everyone's like, hey, well, you made a video, so where's the Twitter Space? I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. But Venti got it, and I think that was a recording of Venti's recording, is what I think that was. Right. I was everybody. That was terribly embarrassing. Thank you for sticking with me, and eventually one day I may not suck as much. So it became clear to Miss Watson that on each of these episodes, she was to be the designating punching bag for the sexist guests and for Mr. Shafer himself. Miss Watson is a serious journalist, and she did not agree to assume that demeaning role, nor was she warned about it in advance. The idea behind You Are Here was never that it was to be a forum for the humiliation and the abuse of the female co-host, as the male host smirked and egged on this appalling behavior. It should be noted that a significant part of Mr. Shaver's audience calls itself traditional, but actual traditional values have nothing to do with the abuse of and contempt of women. This portion of Mr. Shaver's audience, which he cultivates, simply uses the idea of tradition as a cover for its extreme misogyny. And I read this and I think, oh, he's like using tradition as a sword and a shield, the way somebody just might have the balls to use sexual trafficking survivor as a sword and a shield. It just, God, Big Con is just disgusting. Oh, man. Such viewers often flooded You Are Here's discussion with super chats and grossly sexist comments, as well as anti-Jewish commentary that made Miss Watson extremely uncomfortable and prevented her from performing her duties as she wished. I don't know if I remember the Jewish stuff, but
That I was in the Telegram chat. Plus, Elijah himself has basically he's pulled a Kanye West without the
who is they
Austrian
though?
high part.
Who is they though? Oh God, that's my favorite thing ever. But who is they though? Yeah. So dude, I was in his Telegram chat for like, I don't know, like 10 minutes, just scrolling through it just to see what was up. I had to get out of there and then get an AIDS test. It was dirty.
It was pretty bad. And the Jew stuff was very, very heavy in the Telegram chat.
Yes, the super chats did trick Sydney into saying things phonetically, and I can promise all of you, my friends, that if and ever I can have the honor of getting super chats, I can be as easily tricked because I am not that terribly clever. And I'm naive. I'm honest and naive, and that's a terrible combination when dealing with internet folk. No matter how many times she asked Mr. Shafer to address the issue and to end the hostile atmosphere of harassment, which she did repeatedly, he would not. It became a running gag for Mr. Shafer and his audience that some of Shafer's fans would leave super chat comments coded with dog whistles that referenced grossly misogynistic and or anti-Semitic comments, Miss Watson to read, with her not knowing what they meant. And God, like, so if you're the Blaze and you have one of your hosts who has his own cult following or whatever, and they're sending in these super chats, where Sydney, being a doe-eyed naive thing, is going to read them. Do you not want to go, hey Elijah, maybe knock that shit off, because she's going to accidentally say the N-word, or she's going to accidentally say something about Jews and it's going to nuke the show? What are you doing? Like, why wouldn't the Blaze be like, maybe don't compromise everything?
I think there were points on the show where they had remarked that they were being told they had to kind of watch what was going on. I think they got in a little bit of trouble for getting too out of line sometimes.
I do think I remember that. It became a running gag for Mr. Shafer and his audience that some of Shafer's fans would leave. Yeah, okay, so we just went through that. Mr. Shafer encouraged this humiliation of Miss Watson, even though he was aware of how much she hated it and protested it. She complained to the management of the Blaze about it to no avail. Mr. Shafer would also consistently make disrespectful comments about the fact Miss Watson is an atheist. Has also encouraged the audience to attack her, something she must still put up with today. Much of the conduct that created a hostile work environment was of explicitly sexual nature. Now, I mean, as a guy, I've never really had to worry about that. I could only imagine um, what that would be like for a woman. I mean, probably happens all the time. Um, Sorry, I got distracted by the chat. Seeing bread loaves in there suggesting I'm breaded. How dare you? Mr. Shaver would endlessly reference sex, often specifically gay sex, and discuss penises among other sexual matter, often graphically, in front of the guests and Miss Watson. I don't know why the gay sex. Um, it's weird to me, but I don't know. Dan, do you have a take on the gay sex?
Well, I mean, there's a multitude of different things that could be reasoning. It could just be another one of his books that dragged out way too far. It could be of course, I'm going to forget the famous, oh, what is he? I can't remember what his title is. I'm it myself. It could basically be projecting. I mean,
Aaron.
and it could be like a lot of the super Christians who were extremely anti-gay, and they'd have to make a point of it, and then you'd find out that they get caught going to a gay club or having a boyfriend or something like that. You know, it could be one of those things.
Oh, like the traditional
But
homophobic thing where you know you're afraid of not gays. So I mean, I don't know if you guys know, but the term homophobic, it's not that you are afraid of gays. It's that you are putting this fake veneer of hatred towards gays because you know secretly that you might be gay and that you are afraid that you are gay, which is the gayest thing ever. That's a stupid term. Um, maybe
it's pretty gay.
maybe well, I don't know. He did rail some broad 4 times in a night, so I don't know. Maybe he's like, "I'll show you how not gay I am." Um, right. This is gonna be the end of my fucking live streaming career. So the CEO even asked Miss Watson to get Mr. Shafer to stop talking about dick so much. Yes, we've gone through that. Mr. Shafer himself, as Mr. Shafer refused to listen to women, something Mr. Shafer proudly admits. Working with a man who would never listen to her solely because she is female was insulting and damaged her ability to perform duties. Um, that's stupid. I mean, because she's your equal at that point. It's not this trad, my wife is at home making me cookies or a roast. It's, Sydney is the equal. There's no trad relationship when you're hosting a show. It did not help that Miss. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to remark that's kind of the funny contradiction with him is when there's not a male freaking out and giving her the old heartfelt, then he's Mr. Misogyny Macho Man, women don't matter, but then as soon as it becomes a situation where someone with that aspect would have to do the traditional righteous thing, that's when he backs out and doesn't want to step on her toes to be independent and everything.
Yes, exactly. Oh, goodness. Okay. It did not help that Mr. Shafer would get drunk on set and get guests drunk as well. He would do a lot of shots of hard liquor before many of the shows. It was impossible to work professionally in an environment where your co-host was drunk and impaired. Well, I mean, he had that figgy lisp, especially when he was drunk. We could all see it.
Definitely.
The hostile work environment created by Mr. Shafer was taking on a toll on Miss Watson. She was so disturbed and stressed by Mr. Shafer's conduct that she experienced significant vertigo. She has had to sit out a number of shows because of it. On March 4th, 2022, the You Are Here team had a group planning session to address these matters. It was a 2-hour meeting with Miss Watson, Mr. Shafer, and the other Blaze employees, including Ricky Ratliff, and that's a fun name, and the Blaze president, Gaston Mooney. Mrs. Watson expressed how much Mr. Shafer's constant sexism and hostile, unprofessional behavior on the show distracted and humiliated her, making it impossible for her to do her job. She detailed the same regarding his constant offensive comments about women and pointed out how this was also encouraging some individuals in the audience to reflect this attitude. It's like stochastic terrorism, but Eliza Shafer's personality, which might be, it might be stochastic Shaferism, exactly. These audience members, encouraged by Elijah, conduct attacked Sydney so often and so intensely that other guests noted it and were put off. As this meeting, Mr. Shafer asked Miss Watson point blank if the hostile sexism bothered her, and she said yes. Well, that should have just been the end of it. He also asked if it made her want to quit, and she said yes. That should have been the end of it 2 times.
Should have been the telltale sign that maybe he ought to cool his jets a little bit.
All right, Farron, if you are on your way out, thank you for not only stopping by and paying attention to little old me, but bringing some friends along. I appreciate that. I don't actually know if this stream is going to stop in 3 minutes because I'm a poor and can't afford the big fucking StreamYard. So if that happens, again, I'll try and start it up again. But we'll see what we can do. So. If we disappear in a minute and a half, that's why. All right. So again, Farron, I love you. Hopefully, we can be friends in real life. When the fuck was I in this block of text? All right.
Number
the Blaze
39.
Yes, thank you, my friend. The Blaze management knew about this and agreed that this conduct was inappropriate, promising Sydney that the management would address the issues. But they failed to do so despite knowing of the hostile work environment and harassment. After a tantrum in which Mr. Shafer refused to participate in production meetings until his demands were met. What a fucking diva. Oh my God. Jesus Christ, what an absolute diva. It's like, oh, your trailer's ready for you, Mr. Shafer. It has nothing but blue M&Ms in it. Mr. Shafer told Miss Watson that he would not be helping select guests any longer because Miss Watson shot down his suggestions. In reality, Miss Watson had merely asked him again to stop unilaterally booking misogynistic and abusive people without discussing it with her. I don't think that is particularly unreasonable.
Especially on a show that's supposed to be co-hosted.
Yeah, exactly. Daniel Romano, I see you're also trying to get monetized. Maybe we work together one day and work at it together. Oh my god! 2 seconds. Is it gonna cut? Oh my god!
I'm still here.
You know what that was like? That was like fucking Y2K. Watching that tick down.
Having all nines on your odometer,
And then you're like, oh my god, the
world.
world's about to end, and you're like, and it just goes, and you're like, oh, I guess we're fine. Maybe we're fine, friends. Okay. That was. I think I built that up in my head a little too much. Okay, I feel good about it. All right. At this point, Mr. Shafer refused to participate in daily show planning and refused to book guests. This increased the burden on Miss Watson. Miss Watson informed the Blaze management, which did nothing. So they left this whole show in her just in her hands, it sounds like. Like Elijah's not doing anything, the management's not doing anything. It was probably just Brandon and Sydney doing it.
Probably, and I
9
that
of 17.
wasn't. Oh god.
Sorry, Dan, but
Wasn't it before Brand became producer? Didn't they have Savannah as producer for You Are Here? And then they gave her a polite send off because she was going to like do her own thing or something to be independent.
no, not quite. Savannah was the producer for what's Liza's
Oh,
show? Slightly Offensive.
Slightly Offensive. That's the one.
Yeah. Yeah. And Eric July and Sydney were actually good together. Because they both have the same sort of mentality of what the job was. Eric July is an example of actual masculinity and doing things. It seems. I don't know. Miss Watson was subjected to public disparagement by Mr. Shafer of a grossly sexual nature. Because this was an internet-based show, social media interaction by Mr. Shafer was a component of his participation in the show. He used social media in the context of the show to harass Miss Watson. That's something I don't actually know about. Perhaps maybe you guys know more about that than I do, because believe it or not, I didn't have a Twitter account at all ever up until like shortly after I started this channel in like mid-October. So I had no idea what was going on. I don't have Facebook. I don't have anything. I mean, I go on Reddit, but you know what's on Reddit? Leftists and boobs. So I mean, I don't go on there much anymore either. So yeah, I don't know much about that one. For example, on April 7th, 2022, Mr. Shafer tweeted in response to a tweet by conservative media personality and former government official Dr. Seb Gorka. That's unfortunate. Gorka. That he hopes Miss Watson saw what Dr. Gorka had tweeted and sleeps with him. Jesus. Yeah, John, that's exactly it. You called it, buddy. Like what? What the fuck? Why are you tweeting that? This is supposed to be your friend, your peer, it's just fucking just gay. All right, I want to try one thing just to see if it works. Everyone, bear with me. 1 second. Wait.
Ha! Gay!
Did that work?
That worked for me.
Oh, good. Hopefully, it worked for everybody. I always wanted to push these buttons and in a meaningful capacity, and now I just did.
You can make yourself a nice streaming soundboard now.
Well, I mean, I have a bunch, but you know, or I have a handful of buttons, and I've set them all up. But it's not the same when you're making like an actual video. You just push the button. It's I don't know. This is just better. I don't know. Okay, so sleeps with Dr. Gorka, which amazing. This disgraceful comment in the context of a well-known and respected member of the conservative community and one who himself is happily married to an accomplished woman was devastating to Ms. Watson. Oh, I don't even doubt that. Dr. Gorka's tweet was referring to the situation where Mr. Shafer sat silently and said nothing while Jack Murphy shouted abuse at her during the show. This was too much. Unable to perform her duties within this hostile work environment any longer, Ms. Watson immediately texted the Blaze CEO Tyler Cardin and President Gaston Mooney and informed them that she could not continue this way. Oh man, what a piece of garbage. I am so glad I did this live stream. We're getting some fucking deets. We are getting some details. Or at least I am.
There's definitely a hidden story that is unraveling into some pretty tasty information.
I don't know if my future, or one of my future best friends, Jeremy Hambley of the Quartering, has commented or done one of his million videos yet on this. But if not, I'm gonna be like, haha, I beat the Quartering.
So I do gotta state on this because I was watching a stream earlier. He did remark that he's been aware of the situation because him and Sydney are friends, but he's not remarking on it because I think he was aware of the lawsuit before
Yeah.
anybody else was. So he's just not saying anything about it because he remarked today about how he wants to give his opinion because he got a super chat asking about it, but he's trying to refrain from doing any commentary on it.
I think he can only say what is public, right?
Yeah.
And so now this is public, so maybe he'll say something. Oh my god, I'm so excited! I'm so happy and eager to I don't know, grow to grow and to be a part of this group of people like the Quartering and Nick Rekieta and Farron and you know these I want these people to be my peers so much, and God, I sound like a simp, but I am.
Hey, maybe one day you'll be on the salt mine. Who knows?
Oh, maybe it's possible. I want a bunch of rees happening. All right, so moving forward here, we have Mr. Shafer texted Miss Watson an apology some days later, but did not delete the appalling tweet. The offending tweets were still accessible at the time of the administrative complaint. Like, what a cuck thing. Hey, sorry, I did a really bad thing, and I embarrassed you in front of everybody. This is my apology, but it's still up. Like,
so kind of a cop-out apology where he doesn't want to ruin his horrible public image, but at the same time he's trying to tame down the fire that's building up between the two of them.
well, yeah, it's like he can say, "But I apologized," but
Yeah.
like, okay, you apologize, that's great. However, you know, actions and words and all of that stuff, and you know, your actions are shit. The Blaze management was fully aware that they had a problem with Mr. Shafer, but he was their star. What?
So I
Your
believe
cat is
I
obviously
called that
upset at this revelation.
one. You can hear my cat. Oh,
Yes. He was abusive and sexist to other women at the Blaze as well. Miss Watson is informed and believes that other women also complained to management about him to no avail. Miss Watson tried to find a solution to the deteriorating situation. She had been having weekly interactions with the Blaze officers since January 2022, alerting them to Mr. Shafer's behavior, that things he did and said that created the hostile environment, the continuing sexism he expressed, and how hostile he made the working environment. Oh my God! It sounds like she like needed to go into the Blaze studio every single day wearing one of those fucking bunny suits that the CSI people are supposed to wear. Like that's how toxic it sounds like this place was.
That kind of makes me wonder with the whole Steven Crowder thing. Granted, he didn't say anything about the Blaze, but I was kind of surprised that he just up and left the Blaze and was done, and there was no going back to it. So maybe all of this coming to light, he might have been aware of, and maybe that's why he chose not to continue with the Blaze.
Maybe it's kind of like one I don't know. It's like this weird like octopus with like all these tentacles in everything, and it's like maybe Crowder knew something, maybe he didn't, but I don't know. It's definitely interesting. Miss Watson was prepared to fix the show. I didn't know that, but it became clear management considered Mr. Shafer its primary asset, and that it had no interest in protecting her from the unlawful, discriminatory behavior of its star. I just a star, like, are we talking about like a dwarf star? I mean, one that has already exploded and it's gone out, and you have to be like right next to it to feel any heat. Is that the kind of star we're talking about? Because I didn't see anything burn bright. I mean, I don't know. Maybe that's just my opinion. I could be wrong. I'm not.
I mean, it did. it did seem like they rode on his coattails of before. I mean, he got famous by doing his on the ground reporting, but when he was doing that, he wasn't basically he wasn't a pompous douche. He was just someone who was going at the truth, and that's what he derived his content off of, is showing all the terrible things that the left are doing and Antifa and all that. He's willing to put himself in danger for everything. So that gave them the leverage to have a star. Then he gets his show, and then he peters into the whole egotistical downfall. And they maybe somehow saw that there might still be a possibility of him being a worthwhile person up until he just couldn't keep his hands off everybody.
Yeah, maybe. So like as you're saying, like his on the ground stuff, like um his on the ground stuff was good, and I can see why that lifted his profile though. But being on the ground, that puts you in a box, right? So, buildings are on fire. You're not going to go, but little penises because the fucking building's on fire, right? Antifa is like trying to fucking murder you, and you're not going to be like, join my little dick gang because Antifa is trying to murder you, right? So it kind of puts you in this box where you sort of have to behave a little bit. Where being the star of a show, you know, I he'd be like, I can do whatever I want. Antifa's not here to smash my face in. So I don't know. He's probably better doing on the street stuff where there's, I don't know, maybe a set of guidelines or you guys know what I'm trying to say? Like he can't just be like just Elijah. It's just like, I can't go out of these parameters, or I might get Molotov cocktailed.
Or punched in the face when he's recording in a store during a riot.
Yeah. Exactly like that. Management repeatedly promised that corrective actions would be taken, but none ever were. Left with no other options, Miss Watson was forced to stop participating in the show until the situation resolved. I mean, that's a power move. I mean, that shows you like how bad it was. Like she has I get multi-million dollars on the line, and she was like, "No, this is so fucked. I am not doing the show anymore." That is a power move. Like instead of being some lispy figs punching bag, she I don't know, she had principles.
She cared more about her personal integrity than making some money.
And that's good. You know, one thing I always say about leftists, and even though we're not talking about leftists in this specific moment, but we are talking about principle. I always say that a leftist, and apparently many in Big Con, so it does apply here. Will abandon their principles faster than they can abandon a baby in a dumpster. That's what happens.
Kind of. I mean, they do both the left and the right, whether it's politicians or media corporations. They mirror each other pretty hardcore. They just have different ways of doing the same thing. Whereas on the left, they don't care how heinous they look because they only care about winning their argument. And on the right, they're trying to portray this clean cut. They're more morally better than everybody else, and so they have to basically bury everything or I guess cut people off, and because they want to keep that clean look, but they're still doing the same thing of allowing horrible things to go on because at the end of the day they care more about money, even if that means like the Daily Wire guy was doing and signing on wage slaves and just essentially taking their money and not caring about the actual message that they pretend to be going for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right. Um, fucking wage slaves. uh, that that uh, that gets me. Tyler Carden called her and indicated that he told Mr. Shafer that she had left and the show was over. Miss Watson told him that she was extremely upset. Oh, so I guess her putting the show on hiatus, I guess that yeeted the show.
I'm
And
pretty
yet we
sure
were
it
all
did
here
though.
going, well, it's going to come back anytime now, but that pisses me off because I kept waiting. I'm like, it's going to come back. I know it.
Well, did you watch the last few episodes that was just Kezia and Elijah Schaefer?
I might have moved on by then. I don't know.
It was horrendously boring. Like you might as well have been watching NPR. That's how terrible it got. It immediately was just absolutely dreadful. At least in my opinion, I should say.
Yeah, I
There was no.
I might remember. I'm not sure, but like, yeah, without Sydney there and without an actual like Eric July or someone like that to help the actual show kind of stay what it was supposed to do. Yeah, I mean, I kind of like tuned out. I didn't want to hear, a lispy sort of thing for however many hours. I just wasn't really interested. Through this period of time, Miss Watson informed management that Mr. Shafer had publicly disparaged her and continued to do things that have hurt her reputation. During this period, Mr. Shafer was still with the Blaze. A few weeks later, Miss Watson asked management if she could address what was going on with the audience. Many members of the audience were loyal and decent. She's talking about us. And Miss Watson felt an obligation to them. Yep, that's still us. Especially since they had paid money to subscribe to the Blaze in order to watch You Are Here. Definitely not me. Mr. Cardin reminded her that she was contractually obligated to ask permission before making a public statement. So it's definitely like, kind of like, sounds like a veiled threat or something. Like,
Probably they would have sued her if she had made a statement about what was going on.
yeah, being like, don't forget, you need our permission, the contract, or we'll sue you. Like, I mean, that's probably a threat, but like in a nice sort of way. The Blaze asked that she email its management before she went public with the workshopped version of the announcement, and Miss Watson did that. She cooperated in coordinating the message. What? I didn't even know that was a thing. I mean, I'm not surprised that it's a thing. I kind of surprised that it's a thing in this context, although I shouldn't be. See, I'm naive. I'm like a baby doe. I don't know anything.
Yeah, that seemed like the typical corporation thing.
In May 2022, The Blaze finally made a community post on You Are Here's YouTube channel telling people that the show was on hiatus. But it was over. Yes, little Ziz. That's exactly what you're saying. We were told it was on hiatus. So at this point, the show is over. It's done. And after it's done and everyone behind the scenes knows it's done, they come out and they go, yeah, it's on hiatus. Hiatus implies your vacation will end.
They might have utilized the term of hiatus so that we wouldn't unsubscribe, because like I was subscribed up until, well, I'm still technically subscribed, and then they did that swap over to Alex Stein, and so they probably just assumed if they kept the channel with all the subscribers on, made people sit, they'd forget about You Are Here, and then when they could implement a new show, there would just already be a large subscriber base to it.
Yeah, you know, that's probably, they probably war gamed that or whatever the fuck smart media people do. They probably did that exact thing. Because you're right, you said you had started to get fucking pimp on a blimp notifications and you're like, what in the shit?
Yeah,
I mean,
that was, as soon as I saw the first live stream get notified to me, I was confused because I never have cared for Alex Stein, so I don't see why I would have subscribed to him.
Yeah, I like Alex Stein. I really do, but it appears it's in small amounts, apparently, I guess. I don't know if I could handle an entire show, although some of his conspiracy theory stuff is fun. I do like a good conspiracy theory.
I think he's a funny guy. I don't dislike him. I just don't care for his content enough to want to sit and listen to him.
I will admit, when he went up to AOC and was like, you know, AOC, big juicy booty Latina or whatever, I fucking love that. AOC has a special place in my heart for interesting retarded women. Yeah, so they went on the community post YouTube channel telling people the show was on hiatus. The Blaze had not once said a single thing about this show, about what happened, or addressed what would happen going forward. We were just in the absolute dark. Miss Watson ultimately posted on Twitter that on May 15th, 2022, that Mr. Shafer responded to this saying that this was the first that he was hearing that the show was over. I mean, he like literally lied to everyone. How dare he? Mr. Shafer also posted to his Telegram where he said that he was not a liar and don't believe the hype, that this was not true, which he admitted to on a live stream with another very prominent YouTuber, Nick Rekieta. Oh, Nicky made it in. Oh, Lob Hope. This publicly disparaged Mr. Watson as a liar. Now, I wonder if this was the one where Elijah was drunk as fuck, because he was on with Nick a couple times, and one of them he was as drunk as a skunk.
I am kind of surprised. I don't recall actually seeing him on Nick Rekieta's stream, but I wonder might have occurred when I was a little busy with my 9 to 5.
Yeah. So it must have been that. Mr. Shafer also then went to his Twitter and posted a series of bizarre tweets about the situation, such as "I haven't played a single card. I just got professionally dumped by text, LOL," and so forth. What a dumb fucking move. That is a dumb move, man. I mean, I don't know. Perhaps I'm wrong in chat. You tell me if I am. Oh my goodness, I always wanted to say that. But he should have just shut the fuck up. It's like you're getting arrested. You're in police custody. You shut the fuck up. That's what you do. And that's what he should have done. Like, I mean, he's obviously the villain in this story, or at least this is how it's reading. Like, he should have just stopped talking. Don't tweet about it. Don't talk about it. The show is done. Maybe move on or something. But again, that's just my opinion. There was more disparagement by Mr. Shafer while he was still on the Blaze. On a Nick Rekieta live stream in May 2022, Mr. Shafer made the comments about how he helped a female friend make a lot of money, who then stabbed him in the back. Yeah, I mean, that's not exactly properly veiled, is it?
That seems like a good scheming way of trying to turn the tide and make her look like the villain in all this.
Yeah. Sydney stabbed him in the back. How dare she not want to have penises in her face or whatever. This is obviously also untrue, but damaged Miss Watson's reputation in the industry. On another stream, Mr. Shafer contended that he had nothing to do with an incident that he caused, where a guest thought Miss Watson was trying to blindside him. The insinuation that Miss Watson was the one who arranged the conflict. Jack Murphy, I suspect. He blamed it all on Jack Murphy. Nobody knew Jack Murphy took a dildo in the ass. Nobody knew. Well, I mean, Mr. Dick and Balls knew. Nobody else knew that.
Well, thankfully, the light bringer that is the quartering helped make sure that everybody knew that by sharing that to Twitter.
Oh man, I wish I was doing this then. I wish I was, because I would have banged that drum. I would have banged that drum harder than Matt from Tinder banged Murphy's wife.
Oh.
And that's probably the funniest thing I've said on this stream. Yeah, exactly. I would have had Murphy beers on everything. Adam, okay, here we go. Okay, so at a movie premiere at the end of July 2022, again, while still affiliated with The Blaze, Mr. Shafer told Harrison Smith of InfoWars and Scooter Downey and Scooter's wife that Miss Watson tried to get his wife to divorce him, and he had to sue her to keep her quiet. He told others that Miss Watson called him and threatened to go public with the information about personal indiscretions. This was all completely false. So at this movie premiere, we have we have Eliza Shafer. He's telling people all of this shit about Sydney Watson, right? And about how it's all Sydney Watson's fault. Sydney Watson is trying to air my dirty laundry. And Jen, I see that you're leaving. If you're still here, goodbye. I love you. I'll see you soon. So he's doing all this stuff, blaming Sydney Watson for all of this stuff, and then sexually assaults Sarah Gonzalez. The balls. That's amazing to me.
He
Mr.
also, in regards to the whole incident, did you ever see the stream? He was on with Brittany Venti and a bunch of other people who all kind of were questioning him about the Sarah Gonzalez situation.
I may have seen clips or whatever of that. Hawkeye, it's 17 pages. We are at 12. I think I may have seen clips of what you're talking about.
He has an interesting way of not answering their questions regarding the situation.
I did. Okay, yeah, sure. I did see that he was very evasive.
And then he ended up blaming NDAs as to why he can't comment either way on it or something.
Yes, that is correct. It was all an NDA. And it's like, man, come on. Mr. Shafer has also told several people that Miss Watson had made passes at him and tried to hit on him on more than one occasion. This was false. I cannot see Sydney going, "Hey, Elijah, I noticed that your wife isn't here. Maybe we should see how small that penis really is." I just don't see it. I just like in my wildest dreams, I could not see that happening.
She was pretty clear on You Are Here as to what type of guy she was into, and Elijah did not fit that category at all.
Yes, she was like, "This is my kind of guy," and I was like, "That's me." Because I'm technically at the time I was a tradie. I'm a welder by trade. So I'm like, that's me. Although I'm married with children, so not really me. The Blaze constrictively terminated Miss Watson in the spring of 2022, or alternatively actively terminated her in or about July 2022 after she complained through counsel about Mr. Shafer's conduct. So she finally got a lawyer, and the lawyer went to the Blaze and said, "Hey, what in the fuck?" And then they're like, "You're fired." That sounds illegal to me. I don't know about you guys. On or about September 24th, 2022, the Blaze announced on Twitter that Shafer had been terminated for violating company policies and standards after an investigation regarding a personal matter. Ms. Watson is informed and believes that the alleged wrongdoing was Mr. Shafer physically harassing one or more of the female employees. I think we call that sexual assault.
Well, when you're a company trying to cover up the damage done, you call it a misconduct.
Yeah. It was Eliza Shafer taking a misguided tour of Sarah Gonzalez's breasts. Miss Watson asserts that the Blaze failed to properly investigate her complaints regarding Mr. Shafer, that it failed to take reasonable and necessary corrective action when it became aware of the misconduct, and that it failed to discipline Mr. Shafer in any way for his misconduct as to Miss Watson. It sounds like they failed to discipline him in every way. It seems like he got away with He almost got away with sexual assault, like almost got away with murder. This misconduct has been devastating to Miss Watson's future and has derailed a very promising career. I don't know if I believe it, believe that. I would.
I kind
I
of,
I mean, I've been kind of agreeing with this because Sydney Watson is usually on the level. I don't really see her much of a liar, but this is .66, and I've been agreeing with pretty much everything so far. But this one, I gotta say, I disagree. I mean, I don't think it has been devastating to her future and has derailed a very promising career because I think her career is still very promising. I mean, she has her new show with Jeremy, and Jeremy's got something in the works. He's got some kind of big surprise coming. Although he knows that it's going to be big. I think Sydney's promising career has only been delayed. I think it's only been put on a brief sort of pause. I mean, she had her own channel and she was putting out some very good content, but I don't I don't think this derailed a very promising career because I think she's still doing great. I think whatever she makes with Jeremy is probably going to be, I don't know, maybe not blaze money, but I bet it's good.
well, from what Jeremy had discussed, I don't remember if it was in his own personal live stream. It might have been in one of the last salt mines when they were kind of discussing the whole Tim and Jeremy debacle, but he's launching his own media website.
Yeah.
And so that definitely is going to be promising with Sydney, because then she'll be able to have her followers and the quartering and everything.
It better be called Quartercast.
I think he already has his live stream channels Quartercast, isn't it?
Oh yeah, maybe. Yeah. Yeah.
Either way, she does have a, I would say, more promising career future, because if she had stayed at the Blaze, she would have been stuck in that box of having to basically kneel before anyone who had higher value at the company than she did, which is what, led her to this situation.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and she would be I don't know, just constant second or third fiddle, and you can tell that she is really creative, and what she's doing now with her content. I mean, it's good content, and she gets to be that journalist, or perhaps journalist isn't the right word, but the content she makes, it's serious, it's pointed. You actually watch it and you get something out of it, as opposed to being like hearing Sydney talk about something and then I don't know, a figgy lisp kind of making a stupid joke, and you're like, no, we were taking this conversation somewhere. So I don't think she's been derailed. I think she's only yeah, I have a hard time with Timcast too. ZZ. Um, yeah, I think it was just paused, briefly paused. But for discriminatory and retaliatory actions by the Blaze based on Miss Watson's sex and religion, Miss Watson would have continued to thrive and develop her career. Worse yet, when Miss Watson raised these issues to the Blaze, it failed to conduct a proper investigation and either wrongfully, constructively terminated her or terminated her as a result of her complaint. The Blaze's actions and termination of Miss Watson represents a continuing pattern of discrimination and retaliation against her in violation of the law, the agreement, and the Blaze's own policies and procedures. Okay, so exhaustion of administrative remedies. Miss Watson has met all prerequisites for bringing this action against the Blaze. A lot of this sounds gay. Within 300 days of the adverse action. So this is saying that she has done it all correctly. Count 1, sex and religious discrimination in violation of Title 567.
That would just be 7.
Yes, but you know, Roman numerals, you got to go, okay, the V is 5 and that's a 1 and that's a 1, so 5 and 2 is 7. That's how I have to do it. My Canadian education system. So pursuant to federal law, plaintiff pleads a cause of action against a defendant of intentional and malicious sex discrimination and discrimination based on plaintiff's religion. So this is what the judge is. I doubt there's going to be a jury. This is civil, so no jury. The judge. This is actually what the judge is going to look at and go, does everything we just fucking read meet up to this? During the course of Miss Watson's employment, the Blaze, acting through its employees, agents, and representatives, discriminated against Miss Watson in the terms, conditions, and privileges of her employment due to sex. During the course of Miss Watson's employment, the Blaze, acting through its employees, agents, and representatives, discriminated against Miss Watson in the terms, conditions, and privileges of her employment due to religion. This discrimination was knowing, intentional, and occurred with malice or with reckless indifference to the rights of the plaintiff.
Real quick interjection, because I saw it in the chat. So with atheism being literally the lack of a religion, it is in the United States protected by the same laws as religion. So if you, I guess, identify as an atheist, you are afforded the same rights as someone who would identify as Muslim or Christian or whatever. So it
Yeah,
is protected. So she does have the legal right to sue for discrimination on religious belief, even though it's also religious lack of belief or whatever.
yeah, exactly, Hawkeye. So the way that it is stated, the way, and I mean, I think I even made this point in the beginning, like almost 3 hours ago. Just the way that it says due to her religion, you're like, I mean, I like, I'll say it again. It's like atheism is the is to not collecting stamps as for a hobby, right? So when you read due to her religion, you're like, that sounds kind of weird, but yeah, it's the idea that whether or not you believe, you don't get shit on for it.
Yeah.
Right? And her belief system, which I doubt really is the flying spaghetti monster. I think that's mostly just a meme, because if you can go into a DMV, you guys call it a DMV, right? Right? I call it a Service Ontario. If you can go into a fucking DMV and say, hey, I believe in a fucking thing that's got 2 meatballs on it, I'm gonna wear this colander on my head in my driver's license photo. Good for you. You're trolling the shit out of the government. That's good for you.
Well, that's another prime example of how atheism can count. Is the whole Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster did become an actual legally realized religion, so you can identify as that and have it be protected under the same rights as any other actual religion. You just can't make up a religion right now and then be afforded those same rights. You'd have to actually get that religion legally approved through probably the Supreme Court or something.
And that is exactly why. So in the same vein, but slightly different thing. That is why the what's that fucking satanic temple or whatever? Why that
Oh,
exists? They
Yeah, the
so
LeBayan Satanists.
yeah. So if anybody thinks that the all right, Jay, I see that you're leaving. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't. That goes for all of you people. So the satanic people don't actually believe in Satan. They do that for a lull. They do it to rile Christians and even atheists, agnostic people, because it's kind of really fucking weird. So most of them they don't believe in Satan, but they pretend because it makes it a religious thing. And so now they have like, oh yeah, well, abortion might be illegal, but it's for us, it's religion. So therefore we're skirting your rules. And it's like, okay, so I see you're trying to use all these fucking weird loopholes and praising a fucking goat man with tits. Like it's weird. So that's yeah. That's I fucking hate it.
Well, welcome to America's freedom of religion.
Yeah, we have that here in Canada, but it's really messed up. Whereas okay,
I think you were at 75.
yes, I was. Thank you, my friend. As a proximate result of defendant's conduct, Ms. Watson is entitled to all remedies under 42 USC. Weird, funny symbol there that I don't know what it is. 2000E, including without limitation compensatory damages, exemplary damages, costs, and attorney fees for all of which she hereby sues. So this implies she wants what she's owed in her contract and damages for the shit that they did to her.
And for him to pay all the legal fees, including the attorneys.
Yeah, filing fees, attorney's fees, all that stuff. So literally, the whole kip of caboodle is what she is after. During the course of Miss Watson's employment, the Blaze, acting through its agents, blah 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 blah, terms and conditions, blah blah blah, due to her sex, and then we have due to her religion again. So this is under the Human Rights Act. So it's going to be the same charges under a different act. And her religion, as a proximate result of the conduct, she is under all of the same damages and costs and stuff. So yeah, the Human Rights Act. So count 3 is wrongful constructive termination. So the fact that she was even fired in the first place. So pursuant to Texas state law, plaintiff pleads a cause of action against defendant for wrongful termination in violation of the law upon information and belief at all times material to this action. The Blaze employed more than 200 employees and is an employer within the meaning of the Texas Commission on Human Rights Act. The Blaze, acting through its employees, agents, representatives, wrongfully, constructively terminated Miss Watson in the spring of 2022. So they let the situation get so bad that Sydney had no choice but to leave, which is saying they fired me because they obviously wanted me gone. So by knowingly creating and tolerating a hostile work environment that made it impossible for Miss Watson to perform her duties.
Basically, skirting around firing her and forcing her to resign type of deal was their intent.
Yeah. Or enough so that Sydney could imply that that's what was happening. So again, gender and religion. And then eternally, the Blaze, acting through its employees, blah, 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 for making a complaint to the Blaze through counsel regarding the conduct. So yeah, she's saying, yeah, I made an official thing through a goddamn lawyer and they fucking yeeted me for it. The Blaze acting through its employees, agents, representatives, thereby terminated due to her complaints regarding sexual harassment and or hostile work environment and discrimination based on religion. So this is her saying she was being fired in retaliation of bringing this shit up in the first place.
Which I'm pretty sure that's pretty illegal. So
I think pretty illegal is an understatement. I think that they have that in like black and white ink in whatever code this is that you can't do that.
it's one of the fun dilemmas of employment throughout the United States, and I know that each state has their own different kind of laws regarding employment. Like some states are right to work states, and other ones that I can't remember right now. But they all have these fine laws, like if you have so many employees and you have to pay for benefits. I think it's like you have to pay into insurance and stuff. And so some companies will always keep their employees under a certain amount to avoid certain laws and avoid having to pay certain things. And I think the Blaze was hoping to still be in that year, but because they employ so many people, they got stuck with the fact they screwed up legally pretty bad.
I would have to agree with that, I think. So we have that's the retaliation. So she is after all remedies under Chapter 21 of the Texas Labor Code, including all the damages that she's going for. So count 4. This is also retaliation. 89 says she's going for all the damages. Now she wants so attorney fees. Miss Watson, and we are on 16 of 17 pages here. So Miss Watson seeks recovery of all attorney's fees and costs from the Blaze pursuant to a bunch of law and under any other applicable provision at law or equity for which she hereby sues. Exemplary damages. Defendant's actions were intentional, with malice, or with reckless disregard to Miss Watson's statutory protected rights. Accordingly, Miss Watson asks that punitive damages be awarded against defendant in the highest amount under the law for which she hereby sues. Punitive means punishment. She wants punishment money. And I said, good. Oh shit. I just said about a jury. Pursuant to federal rules of civil procedure 38 and 39, plaintiff hereby demands a trial by jury.
Oh, that will be a fun one.
Oh my goodness. Oh, how fun would this be if this became televised? If somehow, because this is state and it's civil and a jury, maybe they would televise it. Oh my God, maybe I could live stream it.
I think all civil courts are public. What is the? I think everyone in the public has the right to the information of civil court stuff. I could be wrong on that, but I think that's true.
Yeah, John, they will likely settle. But just think for a moment. How amazing would that be? Seeing like the Blaze on one side of the court and Sidney Watson and everyone on the other side and fucking a Rittenhouse style panel of lawyers. Oh goodness, that would be. And then little old me with just a couple people watching. Prayer. For the reasons stated, plaintiff prays that defendant be cited to appear. Prays? Is that how Texas does their? I don't know. That defendant be cited to appear and answer herein, and that on final hearing, plaintiff Sidney Watson have judgment against Blaze Media for the following: a declaratory judgment declaring defendant's past practices herein complained of to be unlawful under Title 7. Again, those Roman numerals and the TCHRA, plaintiff's actual damages, including mental anguish, pain and suffering, lost wages, and benefits, both back pay and front pay.
I know what back pay is. I do not know what front pay is.
She wants the rest of her contract.
Oh, that would make sense.
That's she wants the rest of her contract. So you are here, Rand, for 1 year, right? So, how many years does a thing go?
I think that depends on the contract, but we could assume 4 years for this one. So she would probably want the back pay for the episodes that she was not on because of having to not show up due to what she was dealing with. And then the front pay would be everything from the point of her quitting to the end of the contract.
So, I'm mathematically retarded, everyone. Just so you guys know that. So $1.257 million divided by let's say it's 4 years. Is $318,750 a year. That's not bad. It's not bad at all. Now I don't know half of that would likely go to taxes. Is that, or 40% or whatever would probably go to taxes.
We're thankfully only at 40% in the States.
So I mean, so let's just say half. So I mean, let's say she funnels away half for taxes or whatever. You're still at 159,375. I don't know what other fees or whatever. So I mean, I think that's still reasonable. I mean, I have no idea, but or maybe that's peanuts. Maybe it's another Crowder thing. I have no idea. But so the point really is, she wants it all. She wants the remaining of what she was supposed to get, and what she should have already gotten. And I say good. C, exemplary damages for the maximum amount by law. Pre-judgment and post-judgment interest at the maximum rate allowed by law. So she wants to make some money off the interest. Like how fast can the Blaze pay $1.5 million or whatever? Because she wants the maximum interest. Wasn't Amber Heard like 2% interest or something? I'm not sure. Costs of suit, including attorney's fees, the award of such other and further relief, both at law and in equity, to which plaintiff may be justly entitled. So, hey, judge, if you think of anything, throw it on in. The kitchen sink, perhaps. And then page 17 of 17 is just bullshit. We have her lawyers. That is what that is. So that is all of that. Let's see if I can. Oh, look, it's two of us. That was
all right.
okay.
I don't have to squint at tiny words anymore.
Well, yeah. What do you chat? What do you think about all of that? And Dan, what do you think about that? I've done a lot of talking. I'll stop for a moment.
I definitely think she's gonna get something, whether like Chat said, it's a settlement, which most most of the time, at least in the United States, when someone sues and it's not an unreasonable lawsuit, the person or entity being sued will end up settling. And seeing how she's probably got a pretty large amount of evidence to back her, she probably has a lot of witnesses, especially if they go to a trial by jury, they will bring in witnesses. And that's when we'll see like Sarah Gonzalez and probably Savannah Hernandez and everyone come in, say their bit. There probably won't be any Blaze employees unless they decide they're not going to work at the Blaze anymore. Well,
R.I.P.
actually
Blaze.
thinking about it, maybe not Sarah either, because isn't all of her content other than her makeup through the Blaze currently?
Yeah.
So
She may
might
have an
not.
NDA.
That's probably why she didn't file a lawsuit herself and instead just filed a police report against Elijah. But it'll definitely it'll be another thing to add to the roster of things blowing up, like with Tim Pool and Jeremy, and with Crowder and Daily Wire. It'll just become Sydney and the Blaze, and it'll keep on going that way.
You know, just to have an aside for a moment, that the Eliza Blue thing, when Brittany Venti posted the still from that video, you know, Eliza Blue, all she had to do is say, "Hey, listen, that is me in a video. I regret that video. In hindsight, I shouldn't have done it, but I had just recently got out of my trafficking phase. I didn't have much in the way of self-confidence or self-esteem. I thought if I could be a video vixen, that's kind of what I knew. You know, I thought maybe I could build myself up, and I chose the wrong way to do it. So, yes, that is me. I know on the face of it, it doesn't appear like it goes with my message now, but I was really fucked up back then. I think most people would have been like, okay, that's fair. And then none of this would have happened. The quartering wouldn't be all like Tim Pool, and then Tim Pool would have been like, I'm an arrogant shithead, and then the rest of us wouldn't have been like, yes, we know. Like, you know what I mean? God.
Well, that's a problem with all the big fraudulent, I guess, stars, as it would be put, is they're more focused on the immediate. How can I keep my character looking good and not ruin the position I'm in? And that's to just kind of fabricate things around and what they view as the best. Like with the Tim Pool thing, he blew up at his fans and then turned around and started saying on his streams how, oh, we got duped and we didn't know, and everybody knows that he knew the whole time. Well, it's the same with Eliza. She knew that what she was doing was doing some skanky music videos, and it was going to look bad for her message. And instead of being honest, she'd rather just do whatever the heck she did with getting everyone banned. And even I think today I saw the quartering posted that she got 25 YouTube channels struck, and then turned around and just lied on Twitter saying that she didn't do it. So it's
Yeah. I'm waiting because I have as I've mentioned earlier, I have the majority of that music video on my Eliza video that I did. It's muted because I didn't want to deal with the fucking music. It's stupid music anyways. But yeah, we just sort of play through the majority of it. I'm like, yep, this is Eliza. This is what Brittany posted. This is her literally bending over on a mountain. Look, here's her cervix. Like here's every one of the pimples on her ass. Like it's just, man, what a fuck. But anyways, the whole thing could have been avoided. I guess we go to it just goes to show that Big Con is I don't know, a lot of it is just rotten. It's rotten.
it really is, but that's also why you gotta appreciate more when you get big people who, when they do screw up, they turn around and they'll admit to it right away. Oh, hey, like, well, with Jeremy from the quartering, anytime he ever gets anything wrong, screws up, he immediately will turn around and address it and apologize, and if he can, show what the reality is that he mixed up on. But you don't see that with the big people that are solely looking for their ego and their wallets to be full.
Mm-hmm. Chat, if you want an interesting video of Tim Pool, go to Lisa Pool's YouTube channel. It's she doesn't really make content, but she did make a video or two. The one that I'm referring to is I want my brother back or whatever. It's like a 20-minute video. She's doing the dishes. I mean, if you like ASMR, maybe you'll like it. I want him to die the entire time. I just like, stop with the dishes. Good God. Because you hear all the fucking, the, and it's just like, stop with the dishes and the running water. Anyway, so in this video, she basically, she tells the story of, you know, how her brother was one way and then he sort of became another way. And she gave some examples. And the best part was he intervened in her parenting, and she was like, "Hey, what the fuck are you doing? I'm the parent. You're just a bald guy with a hat. What are you doing?" And he shouted at her that, and apparently these were his words: "I'm a millionaire." Okay, that doesn't make you less stupid. Like, um, so yeah, I thought that was interesting. If you want a little more context, maybe check out that that video. But yeah, so I guess regarding this, I have I have a very strong suspicion that anybody in the chat who said there won't be a lawsuit, is going to be a settlement, is probably entirely correct, simply because of discovery.
Yep.
I don't think the Blaze wants to give any discovery, because there's going to be an email from the CEO to like Glenn Beck being like, "Hey, listen, what are we going to do about Elijah? He really likes to talk about dick. What are we going to do about Elijah grabbing women's asses?" And that's going to be the discovery, and they're just not going to want to give it up. So I bet they probably settle. I mean, I couldn't begin to speculate on how much they're going to settle for, but I bet they settle because of discovery. That's where all the magic happens. If you get past discovery, um, that that's a magical time.
And that's probably why they turned around and completely eliminated the YouTube channel and all the videos, is to try and cover that up. Why the podcast version is still available is, I have no idea there, but that they're probably preparing to try and cover up the evidence so that they don't have to settle. But I think it's too late for them.
Oh, I don't know. So I mean, so this was filed. What, they'll probably go to like a some sort of move to dismiss or something like that. They'll probably try and get it thrown out on whatever reasons. Maybe it gets tossed, maybe it doesn't, and then after that, it probably moves to discovery. I'm just trying to remember everything Ricada has ever said. And so they'd probably be negotiating as discovery inches closer. And at that point, they probably shit themselves and go, "Okay, you know what? Here's $500,000. Fuck off. Don't talk about it anymore. Sign this paper. Take $500,000 and fuck off," or something. I don't really know. I don't do numbers.
Yeah, that'll probably be the case, because I'm sure once the case comes, well, it's already been brought to light pretty much, but once it's more effectively in the public eye, they will be afraid of all the people that will turn around and cancel their Blaze subscriptions. And so they'll want to rectify the situation as soon as possible.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. It's just this whole thing. I mean, I think reading this document, we have found out more and fucking and we have found out more in the 3 hours we've been doing this than fucking how many months, a year or whatever. The constant lies of, oh, it's just an NDA, or the constant, oh, it's Sydney's fault, or Sydney being like, oh, I can't talk about it, and yeah, I don't know. I just, God, I'm so excited I got to read it for my first live stream. It makes me so happy.
Well, now we'll have to keep an eye out and see when the next update happens, which could be anywhere from a couple of weeks to it might be a few months.
Yeah, I suspect that the Blaze is probably going to take their time as much as they can, and maybe like slow roll this or something like that. Because if they speed through it, it'll probably gain some sort of momentum in the media, and that's probably the very last thing that they want, right? I suspect their number one goal will be sign a check, shut her up, keep it under the rug, um, or something.
More than likely. And then it'll just be another however many years until that NDA's up, and then she'll be able to talk about it again.
Yeah, it was like 5 years, 10 years, or whatever. I don't know, but by then she probably won't give a shit because whatever she's doing with Jeremy, it's probably going to be big. It's probably going to be big. We're probably going to be, um, everyone watching that, and I don't know. It's probably going to be, fine for her, hopefully, because I like her. I like her. Um, she has a like a dry sense of humor about her, and I enjoy that. As as a fellow member of the Commonwealth, a dry sense of humor is often appreciated.
That is definitely seems to be a thing with everyone that still has the Queen on their money, but
Oh yeah, we're pussies, each and every one of us. Every country that's involved in the Commonwealth is a goddamn fucking cuck. It was my opinion that the Queen was the thing that kept us in the Commonwealth, and we will just stay for the Queen. But that bitch dead now. I mean, let's get out. We need to be a republic, preferably a constitutional republic, because Quebec's got way too much power. And yeah, but no, we're just still in this place where we're ruled by fucking tyrants because the Commonwealth. I mean, yeah, in this country, it is perfectly acceptable to freeze bank accounts and step on old women's faces with goddamn police horses. That's what they do here. It's not much different in Australia.
thankfully, other than the states where you don't really have the right to defend yourself, that no police horses stepping on us. I mean, I guess there was a situation in the same state I'm in where a cop actually was driving drunk and hit someone's car and then proceeded to smash them between their car and his truck.
Oh Jesus.
Yeah, it was pretty interesting news, but that's why you learn to you see the blue, you stay away.
Yeah. What's once upon a time, um, before I was a welder, and then before I was a failed carpenter, um, well, God, a long time ago, I was extremely back to blue because um, Hawkeye, I am in Canada. I am in Ontario, and my friend Dan here is Utah.
Oh, and not Mormon and not the polygamist.
I asked him if he had 6 wives, and he's like, "No, dude, we don't all have 6 wives." And I was disappointed.
The
So
polygamy is real here, though.
yeah, as Danny on tells us. Yeah, so I was very back to blue because I had gone through basically police school, right? I had graduated from police school and I was going to be a police officer and you know, all that stuff. And life of course gets in the way, and I didn't quite make it down that path. But then when the pandemic happened and I looked at what the police were doing, and I was like, I flashed back, I was like, oh my god, I would have been expected to do that. I would have been expected to um you know, go to people's doors to charge them because their neighbors ratted on them. I'm like, I absolutely do not think so. Or I would have to go into a hockey arena because some unvaccinated woman went into the hockey arena to have the audacity to watch her son play hockey. Oh my god! And then you'd have to arrest her, pull her out, and arrest her. I was like, I just thought, oh my god! I almost went down a path where I had to do that, and thank God, I thank the baby Jesus that I don't have to do that.
Well, you missed out. You could have been pepper spraying and beating old women for taking their mask off for 5 seconds too long to get a sip of water.
I know, but you know the thing about that? That just doesn't make my dick hard. I wouldn't be able to do it. I just, God damn it. Seeing like what you know, the like all the stuff that made Sydney cry. You know, the police just beating people. Like I just see that and I'm like, oh my God. Like how many people were back the blue, then all of a sudden they're like, oh my goodness, never again. I mean, I was one of them. Like as I said in the
Just
beginning of this, I took the biggest red pill right in the ass. It was the biggest fucking suppository. It was brutal.
just a remark on Born a Hawkeye's comment. Like I told you earlier, when you're a Utah, doesn't matter if you're talking to someone from another country or another state, they always think that you're a polygamist, or at least ask the question.
Well, because it's a funny question. Like it I don't know. Maybe because I don't know anything about Utah. What, you ski in Utah, right? You have many wives in Utah, and what else do you do in
We have the
Utah?
best snow on earth.
Bro, you're talking to a
Can't.
Canadian. You're gonna tell me about the best snow on earth? Like, what do you think's outside my door right now?
The worst snow on earth. You're not out there enjoying it, so it must be terrible.
Oh God, fuck, brutal.
We got
Touche
the
on the
nice
point.
we got the nice the pollution that helps coat that snow and perfect. I would disagree about Colorado having the best snow. Colorado's Colorado. The snow's probably green from all the weed smoke now. My cat's also in heat. If you heard that.
Oh, I did.
Um,
Oh, I
yeah,
did.
that's why she's been very vocal. She's in the wonderful cat phase of the month.
Oh, I thought she was mad at Eliza Blue.
No, she's probably mad she's not around Elijah right now.
Because pussies attract one another?
I was just gonna say because he gropes everything. So, but you know,
Yeah, I guess I don't know.
Mitt Romney is not a Utah.
What?
That was another comment.
Is
But,
I thought, wait, was he originally from, and then no, Massachusetts, right?
yeah, he's from Massachusetts. He is technically LDS, and so all of the incapable of thinking for themselves Mormons voted for him. And anytime his name pops up, they always support him simply because he's LDS. But yeah, he's not a Utahn. He doesn't know anything about Utah. I'm pretty sure he's visited to speak, but he's probably one of the biggest, dumbest rhinos I have ever seen. He is definitely he just jumps on whatever makes him popular.
I
So
think Hawkeye's
basically,
saying
he's
that
like,
he's from Michigan originally. Maybe I don't know. You know what? I just know the guy's a prick. That's all I know.
that's all you need to know.
And didn't that
And
fucking didn't he? It wasn't his hedge fund. Make sure I get the words correct. He's got a hedge fund. Didn't his hedge fund take down Toys R Us? Isn't that what
I
happened?
wouldn't be surprised. The only bit I really know about him, aside from how much of a pompous douche he is that apparently his actual family that he's related to that are polygamous live in Mexico and have wars with the cartel, which that I think there's still a documentary on YouTube that you can watch about Mitt Romney's family in Mexico. So it's an interesting family. So I wouldn't be surprised if they targeted Toys R Us and everything. And that seems that they're kind of the type of people that just go for whatever they want and fuck up everything on the way.
Yeah, I thought his hedge fund like shorted Toys R Us stock until it wasn't worth anything, drove it into bankruptcy. And I could be wrong. If I am, forgive me. I thought he had something to do with it. And then Toys R Us had to basically shut down in America, but not Canada because Toys R Us here survived. So yeah, take that. We have Toys R Us and ketchup potato chips. You guys don't.
I there's those little subscription box like snack things you can do that there's like, oh, foreign snacks, give them a try. And my wife and I tried that for a while and we got ketchup chips once and that should be illegal. That
How
is the
dare you,
worst
sir?
crap.
How
That is the
dare
worst
you?
crap I've ever had.
Ketchup chips are life. Well, I mean, it's a Canadian thing, but ketchup chips are life. Good Lord.
That's gonna be where we disagree.
Dan, I thought we were friends. I don't know why you did this to me. I'd rather you grab my wife's ass other than tell me ketchup chips are gross. How dare you?
I think I'm gonna have to file a lawsuit now for this harassment of chips.
Okay. All right, everyone. It is 4 a.m. where I am right now. 4 a.m. and my kids get up. Right, my oldest gets up for school in 3.5 hours at 7:30.
Wait, your kids go to school on Saturday?
Oh shit! That's how tired I am. It's Saturday. Never mind. Fuck the kids. I forgot. I literally forgot. I'm like looking at the clock. I'm like, oh, I'm so fucked in the morning. But no. Oh, okay. All right. Sleeping in. Never mind. False alarm. Stay for as long as you want. I enjoy talking to you guys. This is fun for me.
I should have let you live with it just so you could wake up, force your kids to get up and get dressed, fight them to the car, drive to the school, get home, and then realize, fuck, it's Saturday. I gotta go pick them back up.
No, I mean, I would have woken up my son and who's 4 years old, first year of school. He's autistic, but he would have been like, "Hey, what? It's Saturday. What are you doing?" And I'd be like, "Oh, shit, go back to bed, I guess. Don't wake your brother." Yeah, and that's embarrassing. Good thing it's on a live stream. It can't be erased.
Oh, I'm glad. I'm 2 hours behind you, but I am feeling that tiredness.
Yeah, I was just so excited. I'm glad everyone was here to go through this thing with me. I just yeah, as soon as I heard it, and I forget where I heard it. Maybe it was on Twitter. Maybe it was Tim Pool. I don't know, but I googled it. And I'm like, oh my god, tonight's got to be the night for a live stream.
I heard about that lawsuit from another YouTuber. I can't remember his name, but he was someone who was a fan of Tim Pool and the quartering, and he's been covering the Eliza Blue stuff. But yeah, no, he posted a video about it, so that's what got me on the whole law thing because it was the first I heard of it.
Yeah, this is exciting stuff, and yeah, I'm glad Farron sent you. Those of you who discovered me or us organically, I guess that's really awesome too. Uriel, next time don't be in church begging drums, there, bud. Um, and you could have been in here too. I can't multitask. I don't know how to send out invites during the show. Yeah, Eliza is a hoe. God. And that video with her and Ian,
Oh,
Jesus, I like cringed so hard. I think I chipped a tooth. I was like, ah, it was. I was like, Ian, buddy, like that's one cave you don't want to crawl into. Like, you're not gonna go in there with your fucking helmet and your spotlight looking for crystals and shit because you're not gonna find them. You might find the corpses of other men, but you're not gonna find graphene or emeralds or whatever the fuck you have on your desk. Just that's one cave you don't want to go into.
I'm venturing
I
to
hope you
guess
didn't.
they probably all ran a train on her, and that's why they wanted to defend her up until it was destroying their content.
That's so gross. That is so gross.
They probably used beanies for protection. It's okay.
God damn it, Dan! I thought I was the fucking. I thought I was the degenerate of the stream, and here you are like, oh yeah, they just fucking beanie condom. Well, Tim's got a lot of them.
Enough to go around.
God damn it, yeah. Yeah, I mean,
Oh,
that would be a cave. You know what? That might be the cave where you go, like, I'm gonna go spelunking, and as Zed says, 2x4 strapped to you, so it's and then you go down, and then you find the corpse, and you're like, oh, is this who trafficked you, and then you hear the echo, and oh yeah, that's it's just really gross. Murphy left them for them. Huh. Yeah. So I guess I'm glad I'm glad most of the big con drama is sort of over, right? Like Crowder and Daily Wire, that's probably over, right?
well, I don't know on that one because it was the other day, could have been yesterday, maybe a couple days ago. Crowder made a post on his channel um, saying something along the lines of working on something and that basically stay tuned. So, and if you know Crowder, he's probably gonna when he does his first video back, he's gonna go hard on Daily Wire because it's the Crowder thing to do. Is anytime he has a problem with someone, he goes hard on them.
Crowder has gone quiet, but he had a clip of his comedy joke. It was, I don't know if you guys saw that. It was God, if I wasn't retarded, I'd know how to pull it up without fucking up the stream. It was him talking about a real life Walther ad that he said, "Hey Walther, I want to do this ad," and then it was basically like, okay, so it starts with Hitler, and then that's where the joke goes, and the funny, I was literally rolling. I'm like, God, that would be the funniest comedy show to go to. That would just be so great. Oh, you saw him in Lando in concert? Was it good? Like, did you pee? Were you embarrassed when you left because your pants were wet? God, Dave Landau, I'm envious of how fast he is on his feet. I mean, they call him the fastest man because he's just like, yeah. One day when I grow up, maybe I'll be like one of them. But yeah. Oh, it was awesome. Oh, good. Good. Maybe, I don't know. He'll probably never come to Canada, but if he did, I would fucking sell one of my children to go do a show like that.
I have a sneaking suspicion that Crowder doesn't like Canada.
Yes. And by sneaking, if you mean like clashing symbols together with flashing lights, and yes, I believe you're correct.
Yeah, maybe when Canada gets a little more correct and gets rid of those gross ketchup chips, then he'll probably do a show. But until
Well,
then,
we need to get rid of the French and BC. Yeah,
and the
that's
ketchup.
right. No, I'm okay with the French as long as they stay in their, you know, their little box. I like Viva, and Viva was French, so that's all I have to say about the French. But yeah, okay, so we are at 3 hours and 30 minutes, and everyone is probably exhausted. Crowder is from Canada, I think Montreal.
He was originally born in Michigan and then went and lived in Canada and had to learn
Right,
French.
that is correct. French is a fucking stupid language, not because it's stupid, but just because it's backwards. So if you are an English kid and you're learning French, the way you would say something would instead of like the cat is black, you would go like black the cat or something like that. And so like all the words are fucking in the wrong order. And so you're an English kid and you have to have tutoring because, you know, French.
Well, that's all those non-English countries. They don't understand grammar. It's the
Yeah.
same with Spanish. You don't
I
say the
love Spanish. Oh my God, I love Spanish and the women that go with it. They're amazing when they're not stabbing you or beating you up. It's fantastic. Learning Japanese,
you could
Uriel, would be the
say-
worst thing ever.
That one I have not looked into.
Well, it would be absolutely awful, I think. But okay, my friends, I'm actually dying. I don't want to go because this is actually really fucking fun. I want to do this all the time, and I hope all of you can be here. Uriel, you, Dan, you as well. I enjoy it. This is fun, but again, I'm fucking dying. So I guess we'll end the stream here. I don't know what happens when I hit end broadcast. I think the broadcast ends, and Dan, I'll get to say goodbye to you privately in the back of the house. I believe that's how that works. I
think
guess
that's
I guess we should try and find out, huh? It's exciting. It's an adventure. You've come on an adventure with me, all of you, and it's wonderful.
and only one terribly embarrassing mistake was made.
Oh yeah, I couldn't find the audio. That was hilarious.
Oh,
But I'm just
it was the part where you said you like ketchup chips. The audio part was fine.
And you know what else I like? I like Hawaiian pizza. You know what that is? That's pizza with pineapple on it. It's the best goddamn thing in the world. And invented in Canada. Take that.
All right. I'm going to unsubscribe and report the stream now.
Canada invented radar, the Hawaiian pizza, insulin, and the Wonder Bra. Hooray for us.
Oh, glad all I have to deal with is many wives, and that's it where I'm from.
Oh my God, I can't deal with one. How would you deal with 6? Jesus.
Get them mad at each other and then walk away, and then they can just yell at each other, and you just go to work and don't have to deal with it.
That sounds brutal. But okay, so everyone in the chat. Oh Jesus, I just hit my mic. If you haven't subscribed to me, please do. We can do this again. I tried to make a couple of videos a day, usually when my kids are asleep for the night or when they have a nap in the afternoon. That's usually when I make my videos. So it's a couple that come out a day usually. I do my best for news stories, commentary, and other things like that. The reason why the channel is Third Railify is because I'm too stupid to stay away from the third rail issues. Third rail issue is something that if you touch, you politically die. And I mean, I've already been struck by YouTube one time. Had a nice little YouTube vacation there, and yeah, so that's that. So hopefully, I've made you happy, and you guys can come back. I guess maybe I'll get good at it, and Dan, who's already a pro, we can continue to entertain. Anyway, I guess I will wrap that up. Dan, you stay where you are, and I guess I will see everybody in the next live stream. Hopefully, maybe I don't know. Maybe I can do a couple a week. I don't know. It's an adventure. I love you all. Peace. Peace.